Hey everyone. Our guests will be on soon. I'm going to move my stuff. No need to see all my stuff. It's distracting. How is everyone? Happy Friday. It's very exciting. I'm very excited it's Friday. I sent the StreamYard links. So hopefully they'll be on soon. Oh, how is everyone? 1 a.m. Oh, well, thank you. I'm having a good hair day. Thank you very much. It's got a little dip right here. I try not to think about. Just got it right there. A little hole. Try not to think about it. Thank you very much. Let's see. Hi, Humble. Everyone ever watch Romper Room? Did anyone watch Romper Room growing up? I was on Romper Room when I was 5 out of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. And I remember our Romper Room teacher was Miss Marcia. And she would be like, hold the little mirror up and say everyone's name. Who knew? Who knew? This is hilarious to me. Romper Room. I loved Romper Room. I was always like a chocolate milk girl. So on Fridays, you got chocolate milk. I should have chocolate milk today. Hey, Georgia, how are you? Well, I am glad you got a notification too. I am glad too. It was gray and cloudy here today. How is it wherever you are? Patty and friends, right? It's nice. Catching alive. So I was going through, I think it's a lot. It's 292 pages of Catherine Magbanua, her appeal. Let me see if I can find it. I think this is it. Just to see if I saw anything that other people didn't do. So Charlie's Tortuga's home closed. And so I had to look up who owned it. And it's just a man who owns a tech company out of Davie, Florida. So he was no one that I could find that was close to the family in any way. He's just a tech guy. And tech people have money. Paid $1.27 million for that house. I hope he has some plans for it. Some plans to take out that sculpted look that's so not beachy. Maybe he liked it, but I didn't. Oh, it's me saying hello. Okay, Bling's on. Let me bring her on. Hello. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Bling? I just added you. Can you hear me? I just added you. Can you hear me? Let's see if she can hear me. September is a long time, and I heard people already are struggling to get a hotel. That kitchen has to go. That tile was so... In case you didn't remember. Looks like they took out a lot of the photos. Hold on. Let me see if Redfin still has it. Yeah, they took the photos. Glad I saved them. They took the photos out. The only thing's left is that kitchen. It's the only photo that they kept. I took a lot of the photos, so that's cool. No, I don't think you're muted. I'm going to mute you and unmute you. You're not. You're not muted. Mm-mm. Nope, you're good to go on that. I don't know. I mute you and then unmute you. Your mic isn't connected. It says your mic is not connected. Whatever you're using. You always have to change the bathroom in the loo. You change the entire bathroom when you move? The trust bought it for $600,000, Charlie's father's trust. And there was no mortgage on the Tortugas property. So it is completely tax-free. I mean, they had to pay tax on the income of it, but they didn't have to pay a mortgage down. That's unbelievable. You change the bathroom? The bath and the loo burns have been on. So how much does that cost in Scotland to have your bathroom redone? Here it's at least 10,000. It's outrageous. Absolutely outrageous. I mean, I could understand changing out the toilets. What's the what? I don't know what you're looking at. What's the true market value? What the guy paid for it? There you go. Yay.
I had to open it in Safari. Now, can you hear me?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
It kept opening in Google, and I haven't done
Oh.
StreamYard in a long time, so I apologize.
Oh, no, you're fine. I'm just glad we figured it out. So I was talking about Charlie's house. I looked up the guy who bought it. He owns a tech company in Davie, Florida. There's no correlation between the family and the Adelsons that I could find. It was just a guy who wanted a house on the water. So. But the true market value as an appraiser is whatever the man paid for it. So when there's a fresh sale like that, that's typically what it is, especially when the home was listed for so long and it had a price reduction. So that's typically what we do. That's a market value. I just can't. It doesn't cost much for just a bath and loo. How much does it cost though, over in Scotland? I'm really curious. Because if you're gonna, I know, I don't know if a lot of people are aware of this, but laminate plank flooring actually comes from Europe. So there's some countries that when you rent or to let, they don't, you take the floor with you. So that plank flooring, even though it's cut to that house, when the tenant would move out, they took the floor. And so that eventually came over here. Now, God forbid someone takes the floor out of a house before they close on it. You know, I can't even imagine. But that's where it came from. It's Pergo. Well, enjoy your dinner. Enjoy your dinner, Debbie. Yeah, we can hear Bling. Are you there, Bling?
Hi.
Say hi.
Hi, everyone.
What are you doing?
I just got home from my pain management doctor to schedule some procedures, and I just got my pneumonia and some new vaccine for old people, RCF or RVC, or
Oh,
I don't know.
it's like that
Upper,
virus that babies get.
it's for like upper respiratory
Hmm.
for old people. So I guess, I'm officially old.
I took the hideous kitchen down. So they would, when they listed it, I do this. I do this. So when I list a home, especially if I think someone's going to use my photos without the permission because they are copywritten, I'll remove all the photos except for the front photo. And so in this case, the guy took all the photos down, probably because it was Charlie's house and they didn't want people looking, but it's too late, dude. I've spent hours talking about that house. I already have the photos. Guy's better off gutting it, changing the outside. Otherwise, he's gonna have people driving by all the time, like the home on Truscott. Don't change the floor, just the bath and a loo. Cheap as chips. Lots of cheap hardware places. A toilet here costs about $120, something like that. But to get, let's say you didn't want to do it yourself and you hired an actual plumber to do it, they want like $300. I'm like, you've lost your mind. Do that myself. I mean, they obviously don't want to be changing toilets out, so that's why they charge so much. The RSV virus. That is what babies get. Bling.
Okay, well, so I'll just consider myself then a baby instead of an old person.
I would. It's more like, your youth. You're protecting your youth. Julia
So,
says when she rented an apartment in Italy, even light fixtures were tenant provided. That's what I thought. Yeah. I think Italy is where Pergo came from. What is the nicest, cheapest house I sold? It was a home in a neighborhood called Indian Head Acres, and Scott redid it. It was a 2-bedroom, 1 bath, and it was very small, but it was beautiful. And I think it was Wiki Nini. So all the roads in that neighborhood are Nini, Nene, which means road in Seminole. So this area was covered. The Indian tribes were here. We had numerous Indian tribes, but it was called instead of road or lane or circle or boulevard in this neighborhood, it's Nene, and it's pronounced Nini. And Scott redid it. The woman lived in Hawaii and it was her home and she rented it out and eventually the tenants moved and it was 800 square feet of delicious. He just made that so cute. He likes to keep the original bathrooms, especially if they're like vintage, really good tile. The black and white was in there. It was cute. Really nice.
you guys have
Indian
roundabouts there?
We do have roundabouts.
Oh my God, they just started putting those all over Dallas, and people are idiots. They do not understand roundabouts.
Well, up north, there are plenty. They started in New Jersey, and they're plentiful where I come from. So I know how to drive one.
Yeah, Texans are terrible drivers anyway, so it's a hot mess.
Yes, true crime. It is the Nini area off of Magnolia. It's called Indian Head Acres, and there used to be an airport there, like a long, long time ago, decades ago. I do a show about once a year on road names here in town, a radio show, and Indian Head is one that we often discuss because it is so unique and it is absolutely beautiful. It has like 3 or 4 parks. It's in between Magnolia and Appalachia Parkway. Do you think he'll find moldy piles of stapled bills? He might.
Bonus.
Poor guy. I mean, but clearly there wasn't a lot of, what should I say? Like, Charlie being infamous here didn't seem to affect the value down there. And it may be because the population's just so large. Who knows? But here, even Trescott suffered when Wendy went to sell it. For sure. I mean, and it got a new roof on it because that tree eventually, a tree she called about really did fall through the roof. Just not the day she said so. So, hey, good evening. I'm joined by Bling. We have another sub coming on about, I guess, 6:30. Sunny's going to be on. And this was actually Bling's idea, was to talk to people who are, I hate to say, like, for whatever reason, enjoy these lives with me. Because I enjoy them. I think it's a blast. So
You're my best friend in my head.
I know you say that. So really, what presented, like, what were you, was it just the Adelson trial? What was it about? Like, what were you doing? Or how shall I say? What shows are you attracted to on YouTube? Is it all
Well,
crime?
I actually met Harvey and Donna in the 80s.
That's right.
And so I remember when this happened, and I have followed the case all along. And then when I saw that Charlie had been arrested finally, I went back and rewatched all the other trials, and then I was getting ready for his, and like we were on a cruise, and like I was like pods in watching the trial on the cruise ship. Um, I was surprised how fast they came back.
Mm.
But so I followed this case for a long time, and so somehow you just popped up, and I was like, "Oh my God, she's hilarious. I
Huh.
love this woman." And then, like so many creators are like anonymous or like, don't talk to me. And you were so open and
I've noticed that.
fun.
They
Yeah.
don't
I
want
mean,
to
they're
use
like
their real
paranoid.
name. And I mean, I'm fine with that. Like, Fancy doesn't use her real name. I've met her in person. I know her name. She's from Tallahassee. But why do you think that is, that people don't want to use their name?
I think because, when you get into some certain communities on YouTube, which I've experienced in the past, following like the Chris Watts case, some of those people just, I mean, they go crazy. And I never was really much of a YouTube person. Like, I don't have a big channel. I don't post a lot of, can you hear me?
Yes, absolutely.
Um, I don't post a lot of videos because, I just don't have a huge YouTube following, even though I've had this account forever. Um, it's just not where people go to look for what I do. So, when
You mean with your business? You don't.
right,
Right.
right. So, I mean, I have some videos up, but most of my stuff, if you notice on Instagram, it's like the song goes with the shirt.
Yeah, you're good
Like,
at that.
so, when I was sick with COVID, I started watching all the Chris Watts stuff, and it was so fascinating. And there were so many conspiracy theories. And like, then I got into the Dick Cheney of it all. And it was like, I mean, there was so much about that whole case that was fascinating.
Scary.
So I found so many different channels, but then like the infighting and the doxing and all the craziness with all these creators, I was like, I just can't anymore. And so then I started getting into my Kuni pigs. So we did like 7 cruises last year or that year. So I started the Coonies 2 years ago, like this week. So while I was on that cruise, I watched everything I could about homesteading, raising pasture pork,
Oh.
right. So I was, doing all that. So I watch all kinds of stuff, but I literally have not had the TV on in my bedroom for years. Like I watch everything on my iPad.
Well, that's interesting.
And I'm usually, if I'm outdoors, like yesterday, I worked out on the farm most of the day. So I was, outside with my phone in my pocket, my pods in, listening to the second half of the book that, what's his face wrote about the Adelson case.
That Epstein guy.
Yeah, Epstein.
Yeah.
So I was listening to the second half of that. So I'm usually listening. I'm not, that's why like sometimes I'm not really seeing the chat because I don't have my reading glasses on. I'm just like walking around working or in bed and not really looking at the chat as much, which is hard because I know some people are so good at it. Like you're really good at looking at it and posting it and people seeing it. And but
You're
like
very busy.
I'm a very busy person.
How many chickens do you have? And
Well, I posted something really funny on my Instagram that I'm really like I fucking flunked chicken math because I don't know how many chickens I have.
you don't know how many chickens you have.
And I have like 90 in the incubator right now.
So I want to welcome Sunny.
Hi,
Hold on.
Sunny.
I'm unmuting you. You have to unmute yourself.
Hello.
You have to bear with me on this whole 3 blocks here thing I have going. It's tough.
Patty, we're with you every step of the way.
I know. It's so nice to see you. People probably
you.
recognize your head from the Charlie Adelson trial.
Well, it was down like this a lot because I was in some chat.
Like my granddaughter calls it a palm tree.
Yes.
Your hair. So you had like a palm tree on your head.
Yep. It started to grow out. 3 weeks in Tallahassee. Yeah. Who do we have on? We just got back from Vero Beach. We were stuck in traffic. I lost a half an hour on Palm Beach. I can't wait to move.
So we have Bling. Bling is the new black is on.
Wow, cool. Yeah. She made you a really nice shirt. That was awesome.
She did. She's made me a couple nice things. So I'm going to order.
And why are you not wearing one right now?
Because I had to dress up today. I had a listing appointment. So.
Oh, yeah. How was your real estate week, Patty? Thank you for having me on, everybody. Hi, everybody. Patty's friends and fans and followers. Isn't she awesome? I met her at the trial and I instantly attracted to her. She's just got that personality.
Most of my real estate is really spent in the office, working the marketing of the listing, getting ready I have an open house on Sunday. But sometimes I have appointments. So I did an appointment, I had an appraisal appointment, and I had a listing appointment to go to. So.
Did you have a good week?
Yeah. I mean, I have a relaxed week every week. I've been doing this for 23 years. So I pretty much take it in stride now. And I have a really good business partner that calms me down when I start to lose my nut. So.
Do you think your first 10 years were the hardest, or like do you think
the first five?
Five? Well, it sounds like you hit your stride pretty soon. I mean, some people struggle for a long time.
I learned to sell in the hard times, 07 and 08. So I actually learned how to sell a house, we're not order takers. We actually sell. So I think that helped me, but it took just to develop the confidence took this long. I mean, I had a YouTube channel forever and oh my God, I used to just throw up the idea of putting my head on something. It was really hard for me. And then when I started losing weight during COVID, I'm going to have to do something because now everything is video. Open houses are video, the tours are video, everything became so virtual. And I have to learn this. And I did Toastmasters for several years. I had the radio show. So it was really hard for me to just step outside of my own head and just say, okay, I'm going to do it. And then when I met everyone with Charlie, the trial, I'm like, God, these people really have their own show. And I'm like, no offense, I think I'm more well-spoken than they are. So because I'm used to it. But radio is very different than this. And that's been a transition, and it's always a learning. And I do tell people I'm learning. This isn't new for me. This side of this is new. Radio, I'm good at. But
I hope radio's not on its way out.
what people say, or they're just, I think they try to be so catchy in some of these YouTubes, and it's not even people I met. I just been going searching, seeing what everyone is doing, and they try to be so catchy. I think they skip the content.
Yeah. Well, you're yourself, and you found what works, and you have an audience for it. So I've had people like I've subscribed to. So I retired 2 years ago and started, I cut the cable and really started watching YouTube. And my son told me how to get it, recommendations with the thumbs up and the thumbs down. And I started following certain lawyers. And over the years, I've stopped following them. They got a little, the channels went a different way. It started not being about victims or about what was right, and certain things. So you find who you like, you follow them. There's enough internet for everybody.
I agree.
And I found you and everybody that pops up around you, and we found you, and then Carl and True and Judy and and James, and you guys are actually in Tallahassee. You had an insight. You worked in the jail as a nurse, and when we found that out, and then we got talking to Carl and John, and they were sitting with the lady who passed the Grandmother Act, and those ladies, they were all there. And so yes, Karen and the other one.
I don't know the other girl's name.
I mix them up. I'm so sorry.
I don't know another girl's name.
There were the two ladies sitting there.
Now, like I met James, who is mentor lawyer, deep dive in person. We just said hello before, and I told him I liked his videos, where he would reenact Wendy. I thought it was hilarious. And and then I actually met him, and he's like, "You're local," and I said, "I am." And I think people have been very generous with me. True Lifestyles has been generous. Of course, Bling is generous. A Legal Focus, like everyone has been so kind, and they don't have to be. I mean, people could be very territorial, but they're not. Fancy, they've all been very nice to me. And there's Jay, and I have to tell you. So Jay, I don't know if you're still on, you just popped in, but I was watching that Michelle Draconis. I have no words. I mean, it is just a lot. And some of these people are able to cover cases that I don't have the time to do or desire, because I think these people are so insane. It's really hard for me.
Hey, Jay, compliments on your channel, man. You have got some awesome content and great shorts. Oh my goodness. The talent that's on the interwebs. I mean, I don't know, Hollywood, California, you don't have a chance. All the talent's on YouTube.
And he's honest about it. He said, I'm speaking for him, but he said on Twitter, where I also follow him, he said, just those short edits, just a minute video edit could take hours. And it really
I believe it. I believe it. My father was a teamster for the movie industry, and he worked for Miami Vice down in Miami. And he said it took 6 weeks to make a 48-minute show. One episode of Miami Vice, 6 weeks to make a 48-minute episode.
I was in a commercial for my friend who has a roofing company, and he's on my radio show tomorrow with Scott and I, our radio show. And I was there, just my part was nodding, waving, and saying something was 4 hours.
Yeah.
And I was like, how many angles do you need? It was a mess.
Yeah, that's what Pop said. The hardest part about his job was staying awake. You had to, it was just endless hours. He was, of course, a teamster. He wasn't one of the movie stars.
So I am joined by Bling is the New Black, and I'm also joined by Sunny. And Sunny was the trial watcher with me for Charlie Adelson's trial. And she I went back to the office the day of the verdict, and she tried to text me. I'm like, I'm never getting down there in time. It was so fast. Did you
It
have a
was so
feeling
fast.
it would be as fast as it was?
I didn't want to go back to the hotel. I didn't want to leave in case, because after Daniel, when Dan was doing his closing, I saw, I saw that it was a long time. I saw the jurors, one of the jurors, looking at her fingernails. I don't know how they didn't turn and look at the clock, because, we all turned and looked at the clock, like hint, hint, they hadn't had lunch or anything. And, that's a long time to sit in a chair without eating or drinking or anything for them. So if we had breaks and we were getting anxious, I couldn't imagine how they were feeling. So it just seemed, I don't know, the energy was like, enough of this crap. I don't know.
Thank you very much, Bling. That's very kind of you. She gave me a
Well, I
super
know where you're
cabinet.
going to spend it, so.
I know I'm going to spend it with her because I'm buying Patty's Playhouse merchandise. So I'm very excited to be able to do that with her. So my question is, you've watched more trials full length than I have. So other than watching the jury, which they didn't show any emotion or looks, or, I mean, they were really good about that. Was there any other tell for you that they were going to come back unanimous so quickly?
Well, once they got rid of that weirdo, I don't know. You know who I'm talking about?
Yeah. Number
The
13.
alternate? Yeah.
Number 15.
One, yeah. He seemed like the thorn. I mean, every time Georgia got, overruled, or, I know I'm going to get it backwards, but he seemed to like have this smug smile on his face when Georgia was overruled or something, when it didn't go her favor. It just, I don't know, or he seemed more satisfied when Dan got his, when Dan made an objection, when Dan Rashbaum got his ruling. I don't know. He was the
very
closest.
obvious in his.
Yeah, he was very obvious. You can see, when you go back and watch, you can see there's one, if you know Brandy Churchwell from 13th Juror, she was sitting in front of me too. You could see both of us looking up and to the right. That's us looking at the blood guy looking over at us. Every time we looked up and over, it's because he was looking. We were like, even my daughter at the end, she moved. She sat in front of that one bailiff, and she put her head down and got out of sight of him because he kept staring at her too. So that was just weird. I'm wondering if
and the edge of his chair like this, like he was like,
and looking at us. Now the witnesses are to his right, the judge is in front of him, and we are to your left. Turn your head. Like, it's not even like a good baseball field seat. Like, it was terrible. And he would have to go out and crane his neck because he was in the very first seat and we were closest to the very last seat. Very weird. But I'm wondering now if they're going to change the alternate seat. I'm sorry?
I'm wondering if they're going to Jansen's office, and I met with Ruth Markel. They had the little book signing with John Steinbeck. I think he arranged it. I said, please, Tim, tell me what number 15 means on the. Please tell me it's an alternate. Please. He goes, yeah, it's an alternate. Why wouldn't it be? I was like, oh, okay. We were all so happy.
So did the defense know that he was an alternate from the beginning?
I don't think so. Because
did Georgia know?
Georgia knew.
Does that seem fair or not?
Well, she knew because defense, if he had hired someone locally.
That's right. That's right. That was a big mistake.
Is a defense attorney. And he knew because the number of seats. So the alternates are the closest to the door to leave. Back and closest to the jury room. So
last three in.
And now they may not know when they first start. Like, I guess they know how many the judge is going to say we're going to have 3 alternates or 4 alternates or whatever. But those now, Tim's like, yeah, that's the closest to the jury room. So they would leave the first.
Well, now if it's out there in the public, I'm wondering if they're going to change that or something, because anybody that sits there is going to be half-ass pardon, is not going to be, they're going to consider themselves an alternate, so maybe I don't have to pay as much attention. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean,
Anyway.
I think you have that with, we watch with the Murdaugh. People bring in eggs, man. They do whatever they want.
So they're cracking down the whip on phones on the next, I don't think I'm coming up for Donna's. I looked on booking.com for the hotel we stayed at last time, the Hyatt House, which was really nice. But the last week of September, because I wanted to hopefully catch jury selection, they won like $2,500 for a week. I mean, that's like a month's rent. So I said, maybe I'm not going to go to Tallahassee for Donna. Plus, my daughter has a job now that she won't be driving me. So I don't know if I want to drive all that way by myself. I'm going to go to Crime Con.
Hold up. I
Yep.
told Patty last night, I have a brand new RV I got a year ago. It
I
sleeps
told my husband,
6.
let's get an RV.
It sleeps 6. It's got a kitchen, a bathroom, refrigerator, freezer, dining table.
Patty,
I need to find a
Patty,
spot and come down and go to that trial.
Patty, are you zoned, or do we have to go to the KOA? All right. I've lived in not lived, but I've motorhomed with my parents all across the country for when my kids were little. It's awesome.
Blake,
It's the best way to go.
It's only a 25-footer, but it'll sleep 6. Yeah, I can just plug in your. All I need is electric.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Where are you at, Beach Bum? You're in Texas. Are you in? Where's Bling? Is the new black from?
I'm in Dallas.
You're in Dallas. Okay. Well, I'm going to be in Vero Beach by then, so I'm an hour and a half closer to Tally than I was, but it's still 5 or 6 hours away. So you can't fly into Tallahassee, really. Otherwise, I would fly.
Well, we just got a new airline. It is, you can fly from Fort Lauderdale to here on Blue.
Oh,
JetBlue.
I
So
like
you can do
that.
that. But it is football season, and that's the challenge.
Yeah, and that's maybe why we've had some of the hotels weren't so clean either, because we left and then we came back and the game just ended, and also FAMU was having their homecoming, and then they had the alumni week, and it was just, it was crazy. I mean, both of them were right next to the Hyatt House. So
someone brought up the last show that it's Rosh Hashanah that first week. It's 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. So my guess is they will not start.
Okay. Well, I plan on attending Crime Con because I bought tickets because I just wanted to go to Nashville with my husband. And then I want to go to the Sarah Boone trial in Orlando. If that doesn't get continued again, she's got a female attorney now. And then, of course, I want to go to Jacksonville Beach for the Shanna Gardner trial, but that'll be a year out at least because it's a death penalty for a woman. That's big.
I don't think so. Unless it's someone like Eileen Wuornos, I don't see it happening.
Well, I'm glad that they're using it, or it's there. It's a threat. It's something like they've got to stop thinking you can come to our nice little state where people come to retire and have fun and go killing people. You just got to stop that.
So that's a good question. Why? Well, I know why. I know Leon County, but why do you think they didn't go after the death penalty on Charlie?
Too many appeals.
Too many indirects too. I mean, he hired them. I don't know. I guess it's up to the state attorney.
I can't remember the last time it would have been Ted. I mean, I cannot remember the last time someone got the death penalty here.
We have to.
Everybody gets it in Texas.
Hell yeah.
Of course, they sit on death row, like Darlie Routier. Like, I remember when that happened. That's not far from me. I mean, she's still on death row.
No, I know that.
We had a Sparky here forever, but it's not a deterrent. I mean, I'm close by the Parkland shooting, which, that ruined Valentine's Day forever. But that jury was as disappointing with their result as the Casey Anthony one was. And so that changed my stance on the death penalty as far as I don't think it's a deterrent. And I don't think people stop to consider it when they're committing a crime. Like, oh, is this life or is this a death penalty? They're not thinking about that. And it never follows through anyway. So we need something. We need something other than languishing in a prison forever. Like the firing
I
squad.
like that Charlie's languishing in an open dorm
Yeah.
forever.
Well, I don't like that he's trying to learn about religion and find himself because I think he's full of crap.
What else are you going to do?
I don't know. Work out and join a gang. Let your lizard skin off.
He's still a hypocrite. It's never going to take. It's not like it's going to take.
So
that
so
whole
why
family
bother?
is just wow.
They all wear masks. They're all phony. They're all fake, and there's nothing genuine about any of them. And they're all transactional type of people. Did
you all watch Fancy's? Forget who ran it then. I'm going to get it wrong. Oh, Roberta Glass. Fancy's interview of Wendy when she had really dark looking thin hair and her jaw looked massive out.
Oh, I saw I saw the screenshot. I don't want to hear Wendy anymore. And although I'm a great fan of Roberta and she's had me on, I love her. She's easy to talk to as you are, Patty. She's just like an old friend, like you've known each other forever. So easy. I didn't listen to it yet. Sometimes I save things to listen to on the beach walk that I don't have to chat or interact with. So I might put that in my watch later. But what was about it?
Well, she was just on there. She was just not making any sense about human trafficking. She really didn't make much sense. Her comments were illogical, and the interviewer pointed it out to her.
She just strikes me as like book smart, like she knows how to pass the tests. I know how to get this license, everything, but she doesn't retain it. Like I don't think she has the practical sense of it. Like look at how Carl Steinbeck can just not even read a note and talk about stuff about the law and every aspect of it, and without even referring to anything. And she can't even like read her own. It's like it's not inside. It's like on the surface. I don't know how to explain it. She's superficial.
So Carl, for his career, he had to know military law, which is the UCMJ. He had to know Texas, and he has to know Tennessee. So that tells you why that man's head is so big. Like think about that. And Wendy can't even tell you about human trafficking and why illegal immigration is against the law. Like she can't, just looking at a statute, she can't read it for what it is. Can't. And
then the four funny things she said about, the unconstitutional grandparents law, there was something in the transcripts was wrong. She wasn't sure what contempt or perjury was. I mean, she was an embarrassment. Anyway, I have an idea for you, Patty. Will you look up the district attorney in the Shanna Gardner and see like what his record is? Is he all DP? Is it a woman? Is it a man?
Yeah.
Then we can, okay. I think that's the next, but I'm interested in Sarah Boone. That's Orlando, so that's not too far from me.
Isn't she on her 8th attorney?
This is an 8 and it's a woman, and Mentor Lawyers said she's really good and it might stick. She's the first female lawyer she's had. So she was chosen.
So many are walking.
Because they won't do what she wants them to do, unethical things, or, she wants them to lie, or, Carl tells you why lawyers would do that, but they can't really give you a specific, but she probably wanted him to tell a story that he knew wasn't true, that she already said wasn't true. And now, she recanted.
Well, Carl, I think, explains that very well when he talked about Rashbaum or why maybe Weinstein didn't succeed as Charlie's first attorney. And they were like, not legally family, but they were family. Like they grew up together. And he was like, I'm out. Peace out. And he's one of the top attorneys in the state. However, this type of defense, the double extortion BS that Charlie ran with, could set a lot of people off, right? It could be like, I couldn't take a defense like that. I would never be able to be a defense attorney if I thought they were guilty.
Well, they're kind of like actors, because when I was listening to his replay of, I guess James put it up, of Katie, when he's got Katie on the stand, Dan, he's not even asking. He'll say, I'm asking the questions. And it's like, she didn't ask you a question. Like, he's got these things he spits out that weren't even necessary. It's like, this is what I have to say as a lawyer to get things back on track. I know you have your own agenda. And she's just like, what are you talking about? You know?
She really didn't interrupt him or anything or say, I know, yeah.
Right. He just was like, I'll ask the questions here. She's okay. She came across very demure and likable on the stand to the jury. And, you know, if we didn't know who she was, you know what I'm saying? But he really rattled her with that leaving in a box, you know. I guess he could say that about his own client now, because that made me uncomfortable.
Bling.
Yeah.
Your little character beeped, like it pulsed.
Oh, I'm outside.
Oh, okay.
I'm locking the pigs up, so if it gets too noisy, you can mute me.
Aww. She has the cutest pigs too. Like they're the cutest little potty trained pigs. Well, I think the next trial will be interesting, but this Shannon Booth seems pretty clear.
Sarah Boone?
She seems pretty clean cut. Am I wrong?
Well, you mean her trial?
Yeah, like you're guilty. Am I wrong?
Well, it's on tape, but she's going to go with battered woman. Think they're trying to get a battered woman. Her last lawyer got the state to approve a special battered woman lawyer, you know, a specialist, right? An expert, and one other expert, which, you know, that's pretty good. He got two more people for her defense to defend, you know, as far as
cause confusion, as Alex Morris says. Alex Morris is Donna Adelson's co-counsel, and I've been watching his videos that I can find. There's not many of them. He does a lot of federal as well, so they just have sketches with the federal.
Right. No cameras in federal court.
Confusion all the time.
That's his word, confusion?
Confusion. It's confusing.
Oh, puzzles and confusions.
Put a gun to his head. It's very confusing.
Have you met him? Have you seen him around town or anything?
I met him at Donna's last hearing. I didn't meet him. I didn't say, "Hey,
No.
I'm Patty's Playhouse."
But
no,
he knows more. Well, that's what I'm saying. He's better. You don't need a jury consultant when you have him, because he knows more about the town than Josh Dubin did.
Not only that, he was in charge. I won't say they're co-counsels by name, but he was the one who spoke to Judge Everett this time. It was not Dan. He's, dare I say, taller than Dan, so he stands to his left, and then they would confer, and he would look down at him, and then that's not a good look. And then look straight ahead. It's just not a good look. It's not a good look. I'm not trying to help him. I know what Carl says about that, but I think, you know, I'm not going to say it, but it's not a good look. But Alex Morris was the one who answered the questions that Judge Everett had. And then Sarah Dugan was off to the right behind a podium, and there was no reason for her to be anything but normal speaking tone. And she was.
Yes, I'm so impressed with Sarah and Georgia, and you know, we went for what? So while we were waiting for the verdict, there's a young lady, Maddie. I think you might have met her, Patty, or saw us talking to her. When we came back for the verdict, she gave us a little tour around the courthouse, When we came back, I'm sorry, when we came back for the sentencing, she had given us a tour around, and we went in, and there's this female judge and this court and this female, and it's a nice showing. I'm proud of it. I like to see it.
You have someone has a question and says, why are the Adelsons such a fan of Rashbaum? I don't have an answer for that. His only success so far is getting Charlie locked up for life. Maybe, do you have an answer, Sonny? I don't have an answer.
Nope. Because when he's only going to be loyal to them until the money's gone.
TS says she flew into Tallahassee back in the Jurassic era. It's pretty small airport. Annie is thanking Jay, says he's so good and can't wait to watch the interview. So I would love to interview Jay. I think he's hilarious. I want to know where he came from and how the heck did he end up with this. And I like listening to Shannon too.
And he's in New York.
They couldn't get the death penalty for the shooter, Georgia said. Yeah, it's just not a town for a death penalty. This is a very, very, very college, liberal, hippie still town.
But Patty, all the lawmakers are housed there too. So how does that jive? Because you got the governor's mansion down the road. I mean, you've got where they go and pass the Senate.
For our lawmakers, that's what I have to say. Because we're a Republican state. We're a red state, but there's great disdain here for the lawmakers. Great disdain.
For the lawmakers in government, but not the police.
Well, there's disdain for that too. Yeah. Our city commission, our county commission is completely made up of liberal. We're 40,000 short on the voter roll if you lean red. Even if you lean red, you're 40,000 short to get any red done. The school board.
Everybody get out there and vote.
Yeah,
get out there and vote.
No red.
Everybody go vote. Got my red, white, and blue.
So it's interesting, but even still, you talk to people and they're so gung-ho. They have a gun. They understand. And then you're like, I just can't do it. They just don't have the will here to put someone to death. And even then, honestly, I think death row would be too good for Charlie because he would get waited on. They would be bringing him his towels. He would have his own cell. It's not, and he's not going to die anytime soon. So I think it's the idea of him being in that open dorm to me would be pure torture. Absolutely. He is not in an easy prison. He's in McCulloch Correctional Institute. And where he is, because I just spoke to somebody who works it, in the annex today, and they said there are high-level gang members in that annex. Not Latin Kings, but high-level gang. Very.
You think Charlie's being extorted?
I can only go by what my child says. And we have no room for that, but I think he's having to pay for his easy time in prison. If he wants to not be bothered, he's going to be getting money to someone somehow. So
was he ordered to pay any money to the victims or just like court costs and stuff? That nothing else.
Not a restitution. I didn't see a restitution.
Me neither.
I think, I've listened to Carl Steinbeck talk about that they're not suable, that the family isn't suable. I don't think they're that smart. I think the trust could be. I think there's a way to permeate the trust just because they keep taking stuff in and out of the trust. Do you know what I mean? They're not like people buy a trust or have a lawyer, and I'm going to have to ask him this question, have a lawyer draft a trust and have a trust, and then the crap stays in the trust. The property stays in the trust. The account stays in the trust. That's not what the Adelsons do. They're in the trust, out of the trust, in the trust. So why is that? And I think it would have to be a civil suit to find out why.
When you see these papers, are they filed on like an attorney's letterhead or something? Like they're stamped like regular court papers?
So when you say where they're taking it out of the trust, there's an affidavit. There's an affidavit to take it out. The property only is the only thing I could see. We can't see bank accounts in the record in Sunbiz. So only And the actual trust itself is private, so that does not get published. But the document taking it, say they're refinancing Tortugas, and it was in the trust. For whatever reason, this family will take it out of the trust and refinance. And you can refinance
while it's being held in trust.
You're limited to what bank, and your rate might be higher, but it's like they're just playing cups. They're playing cups on this land.
Do they have to go through an attorney to do this every time?
Yeah.
So they're paying the attorney, they're paying the doc fees, they're paying filing fees. I mean, I worked in a loan department. I know all about doc fees and all that.
Florida you're not required as an attorney state, where Georgia is an attorney state. New York's an attorney state. I believe Texas is, New Jersey is. Those are attorney states where for any sort of closing, you must go through an attorney, and the attorney has to review your your contract, your purchase agreement. In this case, Florida doesn't require that. They require a title agent. So he happens to use an attorney who also does title work, because I look it up.
2 for 1.
Attorney has to, a title agent can have that affidavit ready for the trust. And a title agent could do the same work that an attorney's doing here.
And then the fees, the doc fees, all that. I mean, it's not, I don't see what the advantage is cost-wise.
Well, I think the advantage is when Adelsons go to refinance their properties, they get a better rate. You're going to pay a higher rate when the property is in the trust, because it's hard to get it.
Okay, but it seems like it's only for a short period of time, and then you have to offset all the fees and everything.
That's my point, is that I think there's a case, and I'm not an attorney, that's a Carl question, and it really is a Florida question, because it would have to be here in Florida, that somebody with a Florida license, they keep removing the properties in and out of the trust for their own pleasure. What are they trying to get away with? And I think it would bode somebody who was going to do a wrongful death lawsuit with the Adelsons, that could be a source of money. Why are you doing this?
Like a forensic accounting or something.
Better. We didn't see all the forensic accounting that took place in the trial. She was only on for an hour and a half, maybe.
Mary Hall.
Yeah, she was
good old Mary. She was on it, doggone it. I mean, your Tallahassee Police Department, your detectives and the crime lab and everything, they really did a great job, Patty. I mean, there was no disputing sloppy police work or anything like that. You didn't hear any of that.
Yeah. And I don't think that was the case. I think our people were very upset because Willie Meggs, and that's the problem with state attorneys. They are carte blanche. They are the final say of whether a case gets put before a jury or not. And Willie Meggs, who is now, God, he's got to be in those late 70s, but he is still alive. And no one's interviewed him, because no one here, I don't think has the balls to interview, but no one here said, guarantee Willie Meggs isn't taking my call. It's just like, because I would be like, what the hell were you thinking, and who paid you?
Right.
So no one's going to do that. We have Peter Schweitzer, who is an investigative journalist and book author, lives in Tallahassee, and my kids went to school with James went to school with his kids, and I'm like, maybe Peter Schweitzer, but he's so busy with other crimes and dealing with national issues but I've always wondered, when are they going to say Willie Meggs got it wrong, and this is an asterisk on your record?
I'm wondering if, maybe an investigative journalist or someone not on the YouTubes, or somebody, say, with, more credentials, or a newspaper or 48 Hours or something, went and interviewed people, and, without judgment like we would have, and say, what was the process? Why the gang members and not the But yeah, you're right. It's probably a long shot.
He
We can
is.
always wonder.
He is definitely with gang members right now. I mean, if that makes anyone feel bad.
I wonder if he's going to get any ink.
Hmm?
You think he'll get any tattoos?
Against his will.
Ouch.
I think he's, I heard from Fancy, her report that he is doing well. I mean, I don't believe one second of that. I don't believe 1 second. Yes, he's going to church, just like the pedophiles.
It's something to do. It's something to do.
Yeah, the pedophiles end up, they got to pray to the Lord because they're pedophiles. And when we were walking around looking for Lori Page and I was talking to police officers, they said, "Hey, Patty, do you know where you're going to find all the pedophiles in jail?" I'm like, "Oh, where? Church, 100%."
Yeah, so I'm okay with steering clear from organized religion. That's another good point.
But I think it's just he's not going to do well in jail. He will need someone to represent him, so to speak, like, how do I say, like almost like be his bodyguard. He's going to need that. And he have to pay for that.
Yeah.
How
one way or another.
Beach is asking, I'd have ulcers if I was Wendy. How could she not have ulcers right now? How could she not be paranoid with her head on a swivel?
I've decided that Wendy, I mean, it occurs to me that Wendy has no idea of anything else, what's going on, except what's in Wendy's own world. Like, I don't think she has a clue of reality, motherhood, how to be a loving wife, how to be anything other than, I don't know. I don't know what the word is. It's some kind of weird animal that just slithers through and puts on a mask and can be this. And now I'm going to put on this mask and be this, and just fake your way all the way through. And now it's all falling apart, and she's going to be exposed for like the rot that's inside. I don't know how to describe it, like a plant or something. Like she could pass a lie detector test because she believes everything she's saying, Patty. There are people that believe they have their own reality. And that's she has her own reality.
We're all thinking like relatively well-adjusted middle-aged people instead of thinking like someone who is literally at her beck and call. But Roberta brought up on this video where they're talking about this interview that she did years ago for her blog or whatever, trafficking, I don't know.
Wendy is the blog.
And she brought that up, that I guess in the conversations with her mother, or the mother had with Charlie on the phone, was that Wendy was going to be on the outside. She kept saying, Wendy's going to be on the outside. If you keep kosher, like Dan's kosher, like true kosher, then she would not be one of us anymore, one of the Adelsons. And that the mother kept saying that to her. If she does this, she won't be one of us. She'll be on the outside, kind of like Robert.
Okay, so this is the man I chose, and I'm going to do this because I chose him. I didn't choose to be your daughter, but I chose to marry this man. You'd give it a try or something, but she wanted everything. She wanted it all. I guess.
Another question, and maybe I've not heard anyone ask it, but when they first got married, they were in DC, and he was at a firm in DC, with projected growth in his income. Family was fine with that. Family was okay with that she was living in DC. Why all of a sudden did she have to go to Miami? They were fine with DC.
When I was at, when we went to the first, when we were still in jury selection, Ruth had a book signing at Danny's temple.
Right.
And I went there and listened to her. That was the first time I've heard her speak. And a lot of times she tells that same little story about how they met, and that Wendy was 7 years younger than Danny. Like, I think I have the opinion, and so does my daughter, that they kind of hunted him down and went after him. And, Donna set her sights on him. And so he, of course, whatever, it doesn't matter how you always meet, it's how you end up. But Ruth said that he wanted Wendy to finish her schooling in Florida. And so he left his job in Washington, a very nice, lucrative job, so that Wendy could finish her law degree in Florida. And that's why he came down, because she was 7 years his junior, and he had all of that, and he wanted her to finish.
He wanted her to have that experience.
And he wanted her to
wanted
finish.
to be an educator. When you watch Phil Markel's interview, he really wanted to be an educator.
And he wanted her to get her degree. She wanted to be she wasn't, she had credentials too, as far as, scholarships and everything. So he wanted her to go back to finish her degree. So that's why they went back to Florida, Tallahassee. I don't know about Miami and all that. I think she's throwing shade on him. Oh, he couldn't get a job in Miami. I'm sure he could get a job in Miami.
It's the
as
right
a lawyer.
job. He could get a job in Miami, but it was the one job he wanted that was not available, is how I was told.
Okay, so teaching at the University of Miami, that's my mom's alma mater, by the way. Teaching at University of Miami?
I think it was a specific class maybe, or role. It wasn't like business law, right? I think he wanted a specific type of law, and he honestly flourished here. He really became, not that celebrity was his thing, but he really flourished in the synagogue he was in. He really flourished amongst the people here. And then his name got out, so he could speak nationally. And it's just so ironic that he's speaking nationally about not using the death penalty. And then here we are talking about why we don't have the death penalty in town. So
I told you I went to go buy his book, and it was so expensive. I was going to look for it in the library, because I really wanted to know, really, what did he think about the family part of it? Is that why Wendy thinks, they're not going to punish me because, Danny was against it or something? What does she know that, what part of Danny's book was about that? And did she know anything about it? How he felt about, he really felt
I think, first of all, they were all born blue, like Democrat, blue blood. He's Canadian. They're very anti-death penalty. So, yes, she knows he was anti-death penalty. But even in that, how does she think that she won't have to pay for this crime because she has the children? That no one will do anything? Just like people asking about Harvey being 80 years old. And of course he could be tried. Now, he could be a sympathetic case if he pretends not to remember his name, but good luck on that. It's like watching that Michelle whatever, I can't say her last name. How do you say her last name? Yes.
Tricone? Like
her, and she pretends not to know English. Meanwhile, she's telling people how to make steak. It's just so stupid. It's just so stupid. It's so stupid. But that's what they think. They're so in. It's just like any celebrity. Think about it. Prince, who I love, bless his heart, God rest his soul. He's a drug addict. But do you think all of those people around him are going to say, hey, Prince, you're an addict?
Michael Jackson too.
Hey, dude, you're an addict. You need help.
All of them. But Michael Jackson, Anna Nicole Smith. No, because they're going to say, you're not my friend. I'll go find a friend who'll say, yes, I am. That's why, I told my son, if you get to be, a famous actor, I'll keep you grounded.
Well, even like me, people, say whatever they want about our radio show or Tallahassee. So can I tell you all what I did? So I have this Facebook group called Living Tallahassee, and it was really dragging me down. The number of complaints. This is not my first choice where to live. My ex-husband moved me here, and then he became my ex-husband. There's no beach here. There's no ocean waves.
No
There's no
beach here.
salt. There's nothing. I get it. But this town has been very good to me. So I don't sit and complain about not having an ocean. So these people complaining, it's 47,000 people, which is a lot for Tallahassee to be in one group. And it's complaint after complaint. It's like, you know what? I'm gonna either shut it down, because that's how I was when I'm just gonna shut it down on Thursday. Or I'm gonna start another group that only allows complaints. And so I started the other group that only allows complaints. It's already like 1,000 people. And it's hilarious that they're like, so John, my radio station guy, he's like, Patty, you're legendary. He said, you are the quiet power in this town. But I was like,
So did they get off of so they're all just complaining on the one? That's awesome.
I
funny.
put it all in a bucket with all the drama, and they think it's funny now, but wait till politics and religion get in it. Yeah. So
Yeah,
I have
yeah.
like completely different admin doing it who have a good sense of humor. Just not me. I was like, I'll start it, but I can't deal with this complaint anymore. And it's just like, it's the whole thing of here you are in this town, you could enjoy it. But going back to my pseudo celebrity here, there's nothing about my life that does not ground me. Either Scott's telling me something about myself, like I stutter or something, or my kids are. Like there's no way for Patty's head to get bigger than Patty's head. Because someone is always here to tell me, sit down, Patty. You have no idea what you're doing. And I'm happy to accept it as long as you teach me what I'm doing wrong. I'll listen to whomever. Just tell me what I did wrong and teach me how to do it better. That's all I ask for. But I think it's so funny. Like John's like, Patty, you have quiet power. I'll take it as long as I don't have to leave my office. I'll be good with it. It's just so crazy. But I don't understand that sitting in her little circle, Tova, her circle has to be smaller than it was, don't you think? She got Tova. She got the Fernandez. They're billionaires. She's got whatever realtor she's screwing. What?
Okay. So, picture Harvey or them in the high-rise building, people on top and on bottom and both sides. Like, you can't just go out for a walk or anything. You think they're just like having everything like delivered? They're never leaving there. Like you could just. Do you think
they had a picture of her on the beach?
Wendy?
Mm-hmm. She had a bar mitzvah and a party.
I can't see Harvey I can't see Harvey walking around the streets of Miami when the Latin Kings are all out there.
Why are the Latin Kings not? I mean, I guess that's why they moved to a high rise.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying, right there. I mean, so he could only go like on his little private beach. I just don't see him walking down the street with those boys in next to him, like Donna did. Which just she walked right past where the bump was. I mean, think about it, if he really was a gang member extortionist, why would you walk right by there and 10 minutes later with the two children? You think she really knew? I mean. I'm flummoxed by it. I could see her getting that note. You're in shock. You didn't even look at it. You put it in your purse, and then the whole time there, she's got to be thinking about it. And then you pick up the boys and you just walk by this. Like you don't even take a different route. Like let's go around the block and go the other way just in case that man's there.
Dude, I get any weird piece of mail here. I mean, I'm in a big storage building that we have an office in. I'm calling Scott and say, hey, why did I get this?
That's what I'm saying.
Watching me, they're like, why am I getting this right now? Who's there?
Like, what would, that's what I'm saying. Like, what was she, that was the very, like, that should have just made her go, what the heck? Like, I would have, I don't know what was going through her mind that she walked right by there with the kids, like within a half an hour.
So Rabbit brought up the Epstein book that said Dan was offered that job. I forgot this. Thank you very much, Rabbit. But they wouldn't offer Wendy the courtesy job that she got here at FSU. Thank you.
Yeah, and so that was
really
his
did
fault.
love the woman. I think he
that
really
was somehow his fault. And so that was somehow his fault. She made that his problem.
I think he really loved her, and it makes me sad when I think about
Oh,
it.
yeah. Well, even though he said he knew who she really was, but he loved her anyway because he made a commitment. And I think he loved those boys more than he disliked her. You know, obviously, she's easy to dislike.
I don't know him. I didn't read his book, but to me, he's not for the trivial. Like, he wasn't about the Tea Party chats, yoga pants. No offense to people who wear yoga pants. It's not a group of people I'm offending. But the whole, lunch on Saturday. He wouldn't have had lunch on Saturday, but he's not for that cocktail party clique. And she was. Like, I think she was very excited to go to that bar party, like stock the bar party that she didn't get to go. And she was pissed. She was pissed she didn't get to go to the stock the bar party at Elizabeth Emanuel's house. Who's big in the chamber in Tallahassee. She's still big. See, none of these people locally that hung out with her have really lost anything, which kind of makes me sick. But some of the people completely dissociated with her once whatever happened at that memorial service. So when you went to that book signing, did anyone ever mention what happened at the memorial service?
Yes, I'm not sure who said it, but we were standing around a table at the back with some refreshments, and then the book signing was here, and then the altar. It's not an altar, but I'm Catholic, so. Yeah. And not just Karen Cyphers, but I have to think the lady she works in the Capitol there. She helped with the grandparents' law.
Hold on, let me look it up. Go ahead.
All right. She was in the hallway there when, so anyway, they were all there, and she said something about that's where they were standing, like Wendy and her family, they were on that side of the table during the memorial or something. Like they were referencing that's where they stood, where we were standing, and how it was like a separation, like they were there and we were here, and it was weird, like Wendy wasn't there grieving like everybody, you know what I'm saying? Like not just the table was there, but like a distance, an imaginary wall, maybe. I can't think of her name. Karen Cyphers.
Donna turned around and walked away with the woman's grandchildren, which I don't know what was going through Ruth's head at that time. I don't know where I should call it by first name, but what was going on in her. But I would have said something. Well,
I told you that I would have crashed the bar mitzvah if I were Ruth too. The first one that she got uninvited to. Well, you can't. There's no guard at the temple. I'm going in.
Yeah, but, I think they're very respectful. Like people don't want to cross those boundaries. Don't want to make it worse. I think that's part of it. They don't want to make it worse. But you hold my grandchildren from me. I watched my mother go through it, and she wasn't going to make it worse. And I watched her quietly suffer. I'm
going through it right now, Patty, and I can't. I have to. I'm dealing with it like a grief, like a loss, like a death, because I have to. I can't. I'll start spiraling, and it's my daughter had a baby 2 years ago, and something happened in her head, and she left her house, her apartment, her mother, her father, her stepfather, all of her grandparents, her 2 cats, her dog, her high-paying job, and she just left. And she doesn't want to have anything to do with anybody. And I quit my job and everything to be the grandmother and take care of the baby for her. And now got no baby, I got no daughter, I got no job, and I have to. This is why I'm into these. I have to do something to keep busy because I'm flummoxed. I don't know what to do or where to go or who to turn to. So I have no rights.
No, you don't have any rights.
I have no rights. Her husband, I was counting on him to do something, and he's useless. He's absolutely useless. He's an alcoholic. he's just a victim and he's gonna lay down and take it. He's suicidal, and she's ruined many lives, and so I just have to. I wish I could deal with it, but I can't. So I have to deal with it like a death
You
and
don't
go
even know
through
where
the 7
you don't even
pages.
know where she is.
No,
Mm.
I don't want to know. I'm afraid like I might see her and then, you know,
Well, did you
that's
watch
why
any of that Lori Page? I'll tell you.
I'm moving out of this whole town. I can't even be in this apartment. The whole thing is a trigger. I moved here for her. So
Now I understand. Well, Lori Page, as far as I know, is still missing. I've done 2 shows for that poor child of God.
what is
showed her
like,
mother?
what is a feeling? Like, what does a detective say? Well, I have a feeling this, or does anybody say anything off the record to you, Patty? Like, you know, sometimes, you know, people talk when they're not face to face or.
My buddy Travis, who's on our show tomorrow morning, who's a roofer, was a sheriff's deputy. And I was telling him some of what I learned when we were doing our search. And this is about Lori Page. She's been missing from her home, which is now no longer her home because her father moved in September, since June 3rd, 2023. Her father moved in September, which could be for a variety of reasons, but he did relocate. We don't know. I know he's still in the area because he still has his job, but that's all I know. And I mentioned it to him. And I said, you know, all we know is she had a multicolored backpack, which we were told it was tie-dye-ish. And he brought me insight, which didn't make me feel better, but it gave me some insight. He said, well, they won't tell you what she wore, even though they likely know, because if she was trafficked, she likely only had 1 pair of shoes. And if they know what kind of shoes she had, they will get rid of the shoes. And I said, well, it's been 8 months. And he said, Patty, if she was tracked, if she's gone, she's out of the state. She's gone. She won't be here. You will never find her. You won't. And I said, okay. And then I was like, but the parents, I mean, he said, you just never know how someone's going to react. He was a sheriff's deputy before he went into owning a roofing company. And
that's a switch.
Like this mother, Travis, this mother is just, I watched another video for her around October 23. It was 23 minutes long, and that she never even mentioned the child. She
Patty,
never mentioned TPD. She never mentioned a complaint. She never mentioned anything but herself and how brilliant she is.
When you were showing her the other day, I kept putting in your chat because like I was getting triggered because she kept saying something about after I had my baby and I went through my master's program, I discovered all these childhood tragedies that I had, and I had an awakening. And I'm keep thinking, is this what happened to my daughter? But she has imagined tragedies because I'm sure that this woman has them too. Because, you know, like everybody in your family is still average and normal and doing everything else. And you're the one that went rogue, you know, like it's not just me. Like she doesn't like her grandmother, her father, her, you know, anybody. So it's making me think that this girl's mother, she sounds like after she had the baby, did she like?
She said when she went into her master's program, which I looked it up, it's health sciences. So
did she think she had some kind of trip in school?
From the same school. I'm very good. If you're new, I'm very good at investigation. So she got a master's from the same school that she's in medical school. And it was like a health sciences degree. And she got honors. I mean, she's a smart girl book-wise, kind of like a Wendy, but everything is detached. So
she said she had to work so hard. You know, I mean, I know there's people that it's a little bit of an effort, but they don't say they had to work so hard to get, you know, grades and to get stuff. It sounds like, and then she would lose everything. Well, if you're that smart and you miss a test or you miss one, you know, scholarship, that's not the end of the world for you. I mean, she keeps making it seem like she missed some financial aid and that was all of it. But I'm wondering if she had like some kind of acid trip or some weird experiment or something in this program, because she just seemed to like flip the switch. And all of a sudden she realized she had all this childhood trauma. I mean, is her mom sounds pretty average. I mean,
Her
and then she
mother's
said she was,
average, works for the state. She seems like a very nice, affable person, and she cut her off. She cut her mother
right.
off.
That's where I'm at. I'm wondering, like, did she have some kind of, I mean, so she kept the baby with her all the way through school and everything. Her mom probably offered to help her, and she probably wouldn't.
What happened to my mother? My mother was good enough to watch your kid, but not after that, Not after you didn't
Right.
need her. So Cole is asking, what's the new group, Patty? It's called, I'm going to choke. It's called Living Tallahassee, like the original group, but it's complaints only. It's very simple. Complaints only. And there's almost 1,000 people in there in less than 24 hours.
Are you gonna ever
48 hours. It's crazy.
You're gonna have to do a reading of them one night, because I don't have Facebook. I kind of have an
No.
Instagram, but I don't go on there. But could you ever just do like an anonymous reading?
Till the real complaints come up. So today this girl wanted to complain about DoorDash in the primary group. I didn't even read it because I'm really over the complaints. It's just I don't know why people would order food from DoorDash anyway. That's just me. It's disgusting when you get it. If they didn't touch it or eat it or whatever.
Oh, and it sits on the shelf, and then it sits in the car, and yeah.
This lady, literally, I said, look, no complaints in the primary group anymore. You can go to this group and complain all you want. She's like, you're being passive aggressive. I said, lady, I've been called a lot of things, but no one has ever called me passive aggressive. Like, I'm aggressive. I'm assertive. I'm not passive aggressive. I said, you go to the complaint room or not. Like, it's a complaint room, right? You can go there or not. And I just got rid of her. I just don't have room in my brain for all of these petty complaints about driving or whatever. I just can't. So,
Oh yeah, but
going to be too famous to eat lunch with people.
it might amuse some of the people in the bigger towns. Like, about there was a little traffic accident or something, like, not like we have down here or something. I'm sure some of them are funny.
Well, yeah, it's a small town, so we all kind of know each other and know enough people. It's definitely a 6 degrees of separation. But golly, you're the fool that ordered DoorDash. I just can't feel for you.
Oh, we found a restaurant. I forgot to ask you this on our way out. So it's something the Caboose.
Yeah, Midtown Caboose.
Yeah, it was really nice. We ate there on our way. It was our very last meal in town, and it was nice. Fried green tomatoes, sweet tea. So that was a nice restaurant.
Good. And they have, like, to me, the only complaint I would have about them, and it's not really a complaint, is their menu so large. It's hard for me to make a decision. But that's my only complaint. It's really good food. And
it was really good.
Back. I like sitting in the back, outside. I enjoy it there very much. They don't really have enough parking, but they have like ancillary parking you can go to down below. But you'll have to tell me what restaurants you've been to, and then we'll have to find when you do come up. I mean, if people have RVs, like, she could park right here in my office.
I could cook. I'm the chef. I volunteer cooking, but I don't do dishes. I will clean toilets and I'll cook, but I don't do dishes. Deal?
That's deal. True Crime says it breaks her heart with all of us knowing that Dan had no clue. I know. He walked through that premier gym like he was living the high life.
I hate I hate seeing that.
So bad. He was, gonna go work out, taking care of himself, looking good, gonna go see his girl the next day.
And she knew the whole time. Oh, she knew and he didn't. I can't stand it.
And people were like, he had no clue that they were that ignorant.
I have a level of disdain for her. I mean, I've lived in South Florida my whole life. I've gone to school with Wendy's. I have a level of disdain for her. It's not displaced either. She deserves every bit of it, because I've gone to school with people like her. I know people like her, but she hasn't grown out of it. Like, most people, okay, this is my man, this is my kid. It's not everything I ever dreamed of or whatever, but it's a man who loves me, and I've got these adorable kids, and it's like, I'm not working at Wendy's, for God's sakes. My husband's a college professor, and I don't know what her mother wanted. She picked him out.
I don't know what you can get from Miami other than maybe a wealthier man. I don't know. But it slays me because Miguel Fernandez, the billionaire that's hired her and supported her he owns like hundreds of acres here. Hundreds. He owns a big ranch in the county to the left of us. Like he owns thousands of acres here, up here, not down there. So what is it? Like, I don't live in Miami. I always wanted to sell houses down there because you can sell one house and be, set for a year.
Patty, you're too real and genuine. It's almost like when you watch the real estate people of LA or something. It's like they're that phony. I don't know. It's all plastic. It's almost like a mini LA now. There's a lot of movie stars live down here. We have the no state tax. We have Gloria Estefan. We have all of that. But
Jeff Bezos is moving.
I mean, the idea of living in a high rise and having somebody on top of you and underneath and on each side, and then you have to go down 20 stories just to go outside and take a walk. But we went down for the hearing. We went down for Courtney Clenny in Miami for True Lifestyles. My daughter and I did. We thought we could see if Courtney Clenny got her makeup and stuff. So we were so close. So it took so long. It's 40 miles, but it took an hour and a half. We were almost late. Court got delayed. We got there just in time. We never got to see her, but I did get to see her swarmy lawyer. And he gives you off those vibes. Same kind of swarmy defense, high-priced lawyer, and we saw it was just like a lot of I want to say the state prosecutors. They're all at this table, and they're all hardworking, and they're doing these cases, and then the defense lawyers come in, and they're just a whole different breed of people. When we got to see Judge Mindy Glazer down there, but I said to my daughter, I'm never coming back to Miami again. I mean, it's
Jeff
just
Bezos
the traffic.
Moving. It's going to even be a bigger circus. I mean,
the traffic. I don't speak the language. It's just, it's not like Florida used to be. I mean, Miami used to be really cool back in the day. You go down to the beach and you see all the cool Art Deco and everything. And it's ever since like Versace got shot and everything, it's just been, that was the end of its heyday, I want to say.
Jeff Bezos is moving from Seattle, Washington, and he will save $600 million a year moving to Florida.
Well, yeah, we need
the nightmare of driving even near where he will be. I mean, it's just these people have so much security and so many people around them. It's just
okay, but there's not any land there. Okay,
no.
It's all built. Okay, so it's either preserved, the Everglades, a jail, an airport, or places to live. It's not like there's any land there. So you're just going to be sitting in your car in traffic like everybody else. It's not for me. Maybe you can go out on his boat and go island hopping like that. That's the way, I guess. I've heard that somebody has chartered boats from like Naples to Key West, like an express boat, so you don't have to drive.
So back to Lori Page, said girl named Sue says circled back in her car and did something with Lori. We don't know that, but I listened to Nancy Grace a second time, and she truly believes the girl was not a runaway, that there was someone close in her inner circle who went with her. So, and I don't dispute that. From what I know, I don't believe she was trafficked out unless it was by someone close in her inner circle.
Well, who's in her circle? And her mother was so quick to say, I taught her how to, not be a victim, how apparently assaulted and resulted in a teenage pregnancy. So it seems like that would be the last thing she would want for her daughter, and that she would be very strict. And I understand a preteen daughter, when you're so strict, they want to go live with their dad because he'll say yes to everything, and that could get you in trouble too. And as soon as you get everything you want, you miss having some rules. it's really tough.
A source told me, who will be anonymous forever, told me that even when Lori was living with her mother in Tennessee, that Family and Children's Services style government services had to come in and interfere because Lori was running away. And so Lori has a girlfriend. We don't know if that girlfriend is an issue. It's the only time that woman smiled when the girlfriend came on her live and she was like, it was her baby. She had a stillbirth and she was talking about our baby. It wasn't your baby. It was someone else's baby. It wasn't your baby. But that's the only time she smiled, was that other person's baby who died. And it was like her girl was so strong. So I don't know if that's the girlfriend, but I do know that I figured she had to be a lesbian. She just kind of presented as one, straight. I've been asked myself if I'm a lesbian. So before anyone would come at me, bro, on that, which I don't care. I think it's kind of cool. But she lived with her and government services were involved with the mother up there. So it wasn't Lori's first foray in running away at all.
She just got better at it. She learned how not to get caught.
I don't know, but she has before. And that's what she kept saying. The mother kept saying, fight or flight. Like she always wants to flight. Why not flight? Like, she was with her father, and the father, according to the teacher, Margie, who I was on the search with, and we had lunch, she said that the father said to Lori, you can't run away. The world will not love you like I love you. And I was like, oh. I just don't think he can deal with this. I just don't think. And I'm not judging him for moving because it could be 100 reasons why I had to move. Rentals here went up very quickly in price. He'd been into his for a while. So he was paying very little in rent. And the guy had been like, your lease is up. He may not have told him, hey, my daughter was missing. He may not have told the guy anything.
What do you know about this? The mom said that she found out that Lori had a half brother she didn't know anything about.
I don't even believe that, because she also said she didn't have a brother or a sister. She didn't have a sister. And I found on an old obituary, she has a brother named Michael.
So Lori's father doesn't have any other kids?
I don't know. But if he did, he's only 34 years old. It's not going to be like a 20-year-old.
Oh, okay. Because I was thinking maybe, the half brother or something, helped her out or not.
I don't know. And I don't know that it was here. He lived in Colorado for a while. But
why would she say that?
But she literally said, I'm an only child. And in the obituary for her grandmother, she is listed with a sibling named Michael.
Well, if he died, would she consider herself an only child if he died when when he was a kid or something?
I wouldn't consider myself an only child. I got a brother who doesn't talk to me, but I still say I have 6 brothers and sisters.
Yeah, I have a brother who doesn't talk to me either.
Mainly to piss him off. It pisses my brother off. He pretends I don't exist. But I'm more than happy to say that's my brother. Because that'll piss him off. I like it. Midtown Caboose is really good. It is good. So I just thought it was interesting when she says that. And I'm like,
why would her mom say that? Like a red herring to throw another somebody on the trail?
It's just the Wendy thing. Whatever is in this woman's head is in her head, and everyone else, no one else matters. Your opinion doesn't matter because she says it. No one's opinion matters. I could give some of that fair play.
You know what? I bet her teacher's opinion matters. Her instructor's opinion matters. Her dean's opinion matters.
They don't know her.
Oh, you cuties. So the only kind of job she's going to get is teaching at the same place she's at, because those advanced degrees, she doesn't seem to have much practical sense and certainly no bedside manner.
Can you imagine walking into that? I wouldn't even want her to be my pharmacist.
She's got to be like a clinician in a lab somewhere. Go work for Big Pharma somewhere in a lab.
Dissecting. Did you see in Jacksonville where that lady was like necrophilia?
Who's this?
Jacksonville? Having sex with dead bodies? Like, these people are nuts. I'm telling you, people are nuts.
No, because we had some case of bestiality here not too long ago. So
Nice. Yeah, other people are saying they can't watch Dan walking out of the gym either. It's hard.
yeah. Anytime it's their last. I know. I mean, like I scream at the TV or something. So, I wish Wendy would have to see that.
I talked to law enforcement last week too when we were doing our search, and I was just curious about cameras around town. Near where our search is, there's a new dispensary, a pot dispensary called Flowery, and they literally have a camera every 12 inches around this building. And for those in Tallahassee, it's the old Nukes on Tennessee Street. And the police we were giggling about it. They were like, if you're going to commit a crime, like, don't do it here. Because their cameras were really high end compared to a Walmart where you can walk in and out and take everything and it looks like 1972. I mean, they just don't, it's all pixelated. And so people were going through their Ring doorbells. Amazon has changed their rule. If you're going to pull a Ring doorbell or ask Amazon to pull it, you need a warrant, which is what it should have been to begin with. But that they did say, that they wish more businesses would upgrade their security cameras just for crime in general.
Well, the thing about the Ring camera is it's looking out on a public street, which isn't private.
No.
Right?
But it is also your yard.
It's your yard. Okay.
And it's attached to your home. So
Well, we have this
phone.
We just had this in a town here where they wanted to put up traffic light cameras, and they spent all this money and all this time, and they put up all these cameras, and now like 2 years later they're taking all the cameras down because it's either unconstitutional or nobody's showing up or okay, but people are running red lights and everything.
I have a hard time with all of this, but listen to this. My humble opinion. This is something she's pointing out I had not heard before. She's like, Wendy holds her hands in a very strange and childlike way when she's talking. I wish she.
Yeah, and then when she gets the papers, like she gets the paper from Georgia, like it's some delicate thing. It's your divorce paper. I would have been like, give me that stupid thing. Give me.
Do you remember seeing that file? That binder, I'm not kidding you, was like this thick. I've never seen a binder that was that thick. Can a layperson even? It was literally.
I didn't even know they made binders that big.
So it was off by. You probably didn't get to see it if you're watching, but it was off by where they did the sidebars. So the sidebars were different than they used to be. They literally walk around a column, and then they walk over to where the judge can come in either way, where the bailiffs come in. And then there's like plexiglass, so it really hides a lot of the sound. It muffles it. So, but there's a small table that would be, beside the court reporter. And I'm not even joking. That binder was that much.
It was the biggest 3-ring binder I've ever seen. I didn't even know they made them that big, but that's our new unit of measurement. Like, I don't even have high heels that big. Like,
it was literally, it had to be 8 inches. It had to be. It had to be. And I was like, So has anyone ever seen her deposition given from the divorce? I think I'm going to order it.
Not from the divorce, but I saw True Lifestyles and Joel and was it Judy doing her deposition at Katie's trial. And she pled the fifth to everything. And then when she was on, the stand, of course it was different, but she had to answer some questions to Georgia, but when she was asked them in the deposition, she just pled the fifth to almost all of them.
Did she?
So, yeah. I mean, she get on the advice of my counsel. Yeah, I got tired of watching it because I was like, I'm not getting anything out of this.
Because she just pled the fifth. Well, I heard from someone's show that she had a video deposition when she was being recorded, and I thought, "Ooh, that would be good to have."
Yeah, I like watching depositions. You can watch them on YouTube, man. Some of them are pretty spicy.
In your divorce deposition. And I don't know. I'm going to talk to them and see what the quote would be. I don't know how much it would be, but I think it would be extremely entertaining.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not real because he's dead. I mean, even if he hadn't passed away, if you go down to the courthouse, which I've done, if I have a sale and I want to know how much property this person's getting or that person's getting, you can order the divorce. They just don't publish it online. So you can order the divorce agreement.
I think mine was like 2 pages or something. Like, you got the cover letter, you got the back letter, and
mine was like
what I'm
this,
saying?
but not like this. And I'm not even
not in a binder.
I've never seen a binder that large. I went into Office Depot and I was like, I asked them shortly after, I was like, what is your largest binder? And it was like 4 inches. I'm like, no, it's bigger than that.
Yeah, where did you get something like that at? Lawyer store.
They must order it, or I don't know. But it was like 3 books stacked on top of each other. It was a big book. It was like a medical book. It was big. And I'm like, golly, lady, you were just. And then you watch that poor attorney. I go back from feeling sorry for her divorce attorney, the blonde, to thinking you're just nuts. Like, you're just nuts to begin with. But I think when she read the last motion, she realized how serious Dan was. And that's when that lady backed out. She's like, I'm out. Because he's going to come after me next.
Well, if you have nothing to worry about.
He was smart.
I mean, if you don't have anything to hide, you're not going to hide anything. So
I think she knew, and she wasn't willing to fall on her sword for Wendy Adelson.
I wonder what Dan's attorney thinks about her as an attorney and then as a witness. Dan's divorce attorney.
I don't know. I have no idea, but I know that the article I read was, I don't know, it was Carl or whose was, but it was like she was a attorney of the year, like she was the lawyer of the year, and I'm like, I've never even heard her name. I've never heard her name. I don't even know where her sign is. We drive signs all the time, and I'm like, I don't know where her sign is.
She only had one in 25 years. She only had one successful having the father, whatever they were trying to do to Dan. But
so someone's asking your name. We call you Sunny on YouTube.
Yeah. Oh, it's Carol.
It's Carol. I'm not gonna. What do you dead name you? I don't know what it is.
It's Carol.
It's Carol.
Yeah.
That mother pointed her finger and 200. Yeah, she does this. Like every time she goes on a live or a story, she does this with her nails, and I'm like,
oh yeah, yeah.
Mother.
What kind of doctor has fingernails like that? I mean, I was a chef. You weren't allowed to have nails or rings, and I mean, I can't imagine a doctor with fingernails like that.
We didn't have nails in nursing school. I didn't think about that.
My mom too.
We had to wear the caps when I went.
My mom too. And it's starched, all white starch cap and her smart shoes and white stockings.
It was July 2024. I got my license. Hard to believe. But we wore pink dresses with stockings. There were no pants. And it went below our knee. And we had our nursing caps.
That's right. And I remember my mom starching her nursing cap.
Starch mine. I think I still have it. I don't know what I'm going to do. It's just something I kept because it was an easy get. But we didn't have nails.
No fingernails because they're like little shovels for bacteria and they hurt people.
Yeah. And they tear your gloves.
Yes.
So she's only in her first year of med school. So she's in the
first year. What has she been doing all these years?
Well,
sounds like she's been medical.
She had her
What's
baby.
That? She had her baby. She said she had the baby at 18.
Right.
She's 28.
So I figured out she's working. She's a server. No, she's not a server. She's a hostess. She is not at this October video. She said she hosts at a restaurant in Nashville. Hostesses.
Hmm.
Can you imagine?
So
her serving
you're
your
a medical resident and you can't get any job working as like a tech or doing anything. I mean, there's no shade about working as a hostess. I'm just saying, I thought she was 10 years into her medical career.
She sounds like it. She's been doing it since she was 5 years old. It's all she thought about.
And she says, I've been in school since before my daughter was born. Okay. So what have you been doing for 11 years there? You're 18, you're 28. Well, your daughter's 12 now.
I guess she didn't go full time.
And then I wonder when she went and got her, what did she say she had? Her master's? Or
She has
what,
a
when she,
master of science and something.
and that's when she learned that her childhood was full of tragedy or
Lie.
trauma.
Lie. She learned whatever she learned. She
Yeah.
is here. What'd she get? Hold on, I'll find it.
So what do you think's going
People
on?
would be offended by. She got her. She graduated with her bachelor or BS with the University of South Florida in 17. So it took her a while to graduate.
Well, she said she took the kid with her to school and everything, you know.
She has not had her white coat ceremony yet.
So it's been 7 years since she got her bachelor's.
Here is her master's.
She's a professional student.
Pretty much.
She's like that Anthony. No, she's like that guy, that Joel guy.
She's like,
What's that say? I can't read it.
she's like me. She's like me. I'm a professional student at this point.
No, but you make a living. She's not.
Well, I have to. And I go to school full time, but my kids are grown. You know, I couldn't have done all this when I was. She's in school to be supportive. I know. Health science management. Thank you. I think that's Katie McBanowis. Hold on.
Why didn't she put that in her dating profile on the jail pal, on the, pen pal for jail? She just put high school. What's that?
She wants to look smarter than she is.
No, Katie didn't put her college degree on her jail pen pal website. She just put high school when it put education.
Oh, did she?
Yeah. And we all said, why didn't she put her, maybe people in jail don't want, maybe if you're dating somebody in jail, you don't want somebody smarter than you. I don't know. Like, why wouldn't a prisoner put her bachelor's degree up on her pen pal website?
My girlfriend that works corrections, she keeps saying to me, what was it, mail-in inmate?
Yeah.
She said that they can get in trouble for that. I'm like, I don't think.
It's a whole official, maybe the state does it to raise money or something. Excuse me, I'm going to put on the water for tea.
Yeah, it's still up for her. They haven't taken it down. They haven't taken it down. Her meet an inmate. Yes, she is, Christy. Thank you very much for saying that. She goes, I don't care how many degrees she is. She's dumb AF. It's hard to come across a mother. We all know how self-indulgent Wendy is. A mother that self-indulgent and unapologetic about it. Like, she's not even trying to hide it.
Do you think it's a facade so that because she's crying on the inside? Or do you think like she's been
crying on the inside?
Wow.
I've watched other lives of hers.
So she's to
see it. Like, I would
have
been like.
She's got a big social media presence. She's always on there for such a busy doctor.
TikTok. She has about 10 TikToks. She doesn't even use her real name, so she's not that ballsy.
I'm wonder. She said she was punishing her daughter for using her phone when she was 9. But once, like, how are you going to know where she is or anything? You can't put restrictions on it and say, okay, 6 months, but like 3 years you can't have your phone. It seems a bit much for somebody who's always on her phone.
I know. I bought, because I asked my daughter permission. I didn't do it on my own, but I pay for their phones. I'm like, they need a phone. They're cute girls. I don't, even if they weren't cute, they're cute to me. And
I need to know, right?
Then I sent up air tags. I'm like, these kids need air tagged.
Yeah, I think about my father before he passed and he had dementia and he would wander off. And I often think about how my daughter's dogs have, a tag in them, but children and old people who can't speak for themselves can't be tagged like that so we can find them,
I have a lady who's trying to find her damn cat named Oscar for like the last year and a half in living
What
Tallahassee.
kind of cat? We found at least 2 cats in Tallahassee that keep trying to follow us home. My daughter's like, every time we come here, a cat finds us.
We're like the Bahamas. No offense to the Bahamas.
What'd you say? Is she in Tallahassee?
Yes, this lady's in Tallahassee looking for Oscar. I mean, it's constant.
What kind of cat is it?
Cares more about Oscar than this mother cares for her child.
Well, I'm telling you, both times that we came up, well, we were there for the 3 weeks and then we came back for the sentencing. Both times, 2 different stray cats approached my daughter. So there was one by Railroad Square.
I call him Siegfried. Sorry. Did you hear Siegfried stabbed another inmate in the face? This isn't his first time.
So there goes all of his appeal. So start talking.
Oh, he lost his appeal anyway.
Right. So is that why you think he's just like, I'm done? I mean, I could only behave for so long that now.
But people love their animals more than they love their offspring. It's just sad to me. But Siegfried, I think he's had more than one run-in because he was in Taylor County, not Taylor. Sorry, it's not a county. Taylor CI, which is in Taylor County, which is Perry, Florida. And then he got moved to where he is now in Rayford because of his run-in at Taylor.
Rayford, man. We know all about Rayford, man. That's a hard prison. I mean, we're down here in South Florida. As far as we're concerned, all of our prisons are up right there in the middle of the Bible Belt. And we were driving through Lakeland and all that when we would drive down from up north and be like, half the town was prisons, half the town was churches, and behave.
I just bought a collar for Roscoe that I could put one of my air tags in. Debbie says she loves her animals more than I love my ex. Well, that's easy. Or probably ever did. I mean, I get that too. I do. I love my Roscoe.
Debbie, I just want to say that I see you in all kinds of chats, and I think that you are adorable. I love your attitude. I love everything you say, and I'm glad to see all these familiar people.
No prisoners, man. Debbie takes no prisoners.
I just love her. I love candor. I just love her.
She does it.
But she's sweet as can be. She comes across as adorable. I don't get anything but funny, niceness, and truth from Debbie's chats.
I went to Marshall's today because I was bored, and they had a collar that you put a little air tag in, so that's what I'm going to put it on. Roscoe, you never know.
No, there's people dog napping. This is serious. There's just weird things. I don't know. Get your own dog.
As our GSD ran off while camping and hiking, someone close by shot a gun and he took off. I said, I'm not leaving without him. Aw.
Oh my God, that is so. That's about like the lost child or lost pet. The wondering, like, do you leave? You can't ever leave from that spot or something. I understand it.
My mentor, his name's John. He moved to Virginia to be near his grandchildren with his wife, to be near his 5 grandchildren. He loves sports. They call him Coach instead of Grandpa. They call him Coach. And then he moved down to Palm Beach, which he really loved. He was a developer, and he loved those communities with golf course and everything, like a lazy river. It's so beautiful. And but his son passed away. His son, I think, would have been my age. his son passed away of a brain tumor decades ago. And there's a road named after his son. And he said his wife had to come back. She just couldn't. Her parents were here and her son is here, and she just had to come back. So I get it. I think it's hard for me. My parents are up in Harrisburg now in their grave, and I just, somebody go visit. That's what I asked my daughter. Go put some flowers in. Have a mass said. So I have my daughter go make sure masses are said for my parents because I can't. But I got them while they were alive, so there was that. But yes, animals very much have unconditional love, but so do children if you treat them right. I mean, the babies, like this is a 12-year-old girl.
Yeah, she wasn't. I mean, I find it weird that she, at that age, pre-teen, wanting to be with a father who maybe wasn't going to be, like, Dad, go buy me some tampons. I don't see a prison guard, I don't know.
From what I know, he had a girlfriend or a very good friend. One of his
okay.
Who was involved.
Maybe she was more.
She went to the open house, like the school's open house. Someone told me.
Oh, okay. So maybe she had. Maybe she was more of a mother figure. Maybe he got a bigger place because they only had the one bedroom. I wonder if they're still together.
But the little mommy, Maisie, it's not a real name. She says, I don't know if he has a girlfriend, but I hope not. Like in there, she wanted to micromanage that. And you can't do that. She keeps saying, I'm the custodial parent, but you're not. You're legally not in Florida. You are not. If you don't have physical presence, you can't from Tennessee, 3 states away, dictate what happens. You just physically, you're not legally allowed to do it.
I'll be right back. Go ahead.
They have 50-50. Yeah, that's what Fancy says. The two says, I heard Charlie's getting along with all the convicted cops. Well, where he is in the annex at Wakulla, that's where all the protective management is, and that's where the officers would be and the gang members who are trying not to be murdered by other gang members.
The only cop that comes to mind is there was a Florida trooper that kept planting drugs on innocent citizens.
That was Mariana. That was in Jackson County.
Yeah, what was his name? Zach or something?
I don't know.
Big guy. Yeah.
He's
I hope he's up there. Well, he's a cop, so I thought they kind of kept them in the same, they kept the bad cops in the same jail together because they got to protect them as well.
Hold on, I'll tell you where he is.
Even bad cops need protecting in jail. And he was a young cop too, but he was a big guy. And, God, that kind of stuff makes me so mad.
His name was Zachary Wester.
Zach, I thought so. What a shame. Yeah, I got a good memory for weird things like that.
I wonder if it'll say where he is. Hold on.
I mean, in Florida, you don't need to plant drugs in people's cars. There's enough drugs going up and down everywhere. You know what I'm saying? Like, just stop somebody.
Colorado.
He's in Colorado? Wow.
That's what it says. He's at a current medium facility in Colorado.
Wow, so far away from his family in Florida. I wonder why.
Because he planted all these drugs. There isn't a safe place for him here.
God.
Yeah, he did it on stops.
Yeah, well, he stole it from one drug dealer because they were wondering, where did you get it from? He stole it from a drug dealer. I don't know if the drug dealer reported it or not. And then all of a sudden, because they asked him, well, where did you get these substances that you planted? From evidence room and stuff. And there was no proof of that. So he ripped off a drug dealer. And then, some people look like they might have had a history with drugs. Other people are like never did drugs in their life. And this just, can you imagine? Like you're in jail for 3 days, your car gets towed, your boss doesn't know where you are, you lose your job.
Wait, let me show everyone what he looks like. It looks like he's lost a lot of weight.
Yeah, he looked like a PIG. No salt to pigs. Yeah.
Yeah, so Monica Jordan, who's been on STS quite a few times, she's a private investigator here in town. She worked Eileen Warno's case. I would love to
Yes,
you.
I loved her. Me too. You know, I feel bad for Eileen. I might be.
She talks about Luis Rivera going in and out. You know, what state could he end up in, because he may not come back to Florida, even though he'll have some years left in Florida. And so here's an example of that, where you go to Colorado because you can't be safe here. They just can't keep him safe. So.
Oh, we shouldn't have to worry about it. I mean, when you cost people their lives and their, you know, I mean, not their lives, but their job and everything. I mean, geez.
Who is the woman? Has she spoken out? Yes, she did. And on Lori Page, yes, the woman, true crime, did speak out. So her grandmother is Brooklyn. She did buy her. She had a good relationship. I think Brooklyn, the mother or the grandmother, is about my age. So she looked like a fun lady. She didn't, you know, everyone's just trying to get by in their life, right? We're all just trying to get by. And now these girls, whomever, this whole generation, just go to school and then think they know everything, and then think we're insane because we had a hairbrush taken to us. I had a hairbrush taken. My mother used a hairbrush. She really liked using her middle knuckle on the back of your head. She's a very smart woman. Doesn't show anything. Crazy land, that woman.
Hey, we got paddled in middle school. Okay, yeah, Patty? We got paddled in middle school by the dean. The dean would paddle you in middle school. And they even had a paddle, and they drilled holes in it so it would get more whiff through the air. It was like a paddleboard paddle.
Oh, yeah, for sure, the air. That's why the belt, depending on the end of the belt you use. So if you use the end of the belt with the holes in it, that air goes through.
Yeah.
Well, I better go. 2 hours. I went to Catholic school, but I didn't get in trouble. Not 1 second.
I didn't get in trouble, but
not enough.
The nuns were mean. The nuns were mean. They just beat you for breathing. What can I say? I got all the bloody knuckles.
Such a suck up. And I still am. I'm still friends with my teachers from grade 50. I'll be 57 next week. My first grade teacher, my third grade teacher, I go have lunch with her when I go home. I'm a big suck up because I like them. I got very lucky. But there are a couple nuns that were really ignorant. They're dead. Yeah. But they weren't mean to me. They were harder on the boys than they were on the girls. And that was tough to watch.
I just think that the nuns were frustrated, and so were the priests. And, they took it out on us, whatever. But we got out of it. We came to Florida, and it's been great ever since.
I'd like to send my granddaughters to private school, even if it's not Catholic. Because
definitely.
They go to they're in a school district called Central Dauphin East, and there was a gun today, and they had to shut the school down. And it's just like, can we just send them to a private charter school? Can we please? Maybe Amish, maybe Mennonite, which is big where I'm from. So,
well, they'll definitely learn some, handy life skills. In a
quilting would be nice, right? Make a good sourdough. Why is sourdough coming back? Like sourdough thing, like it's a thing now on the TikTok.
Well, it never really went away, because if it goes away, you don't have a sourdough. You have to have the starter for, like, some of them in San Francisco have been going for hundreds of years,
Really?
Yeah, you have to take a piece of your sourdough starter and start another batch, and it continues. The yeast just keep growing. You always pinch off a piece and start a new batch, so it never really dies.
There's never an original batch of sourdough. Is that what you're saying? This tell you I have no idea.
Right, pretty much, right. Once you start making it, you always take, the old bakeries. I don't know, but people do at home now. But in bakeries, that's how you get your starter. You take a piece of your sourdough. I went to, when I was in culinary school, we had, some of our chefs were old European, and that had to, when they were growing up, Austria and Germany, you either went into the service, or you went to work in a factory, or you went to work as a apprentice in a bakery or a kitchen or a bricklayer or whatever. And so they apprentice, and they would tell me this is how it was back in the day, in Austria and Germany. I mean, they're talking like since they're 13 and 14 years old, working in their peeling potatoes for, the first few years and washing dishes. And now they're like master chefs. I mean, that's working.
I had to peel potatoes and wash dishes, and I can barely cook. I just did the whole Hello Fresh to have this week, so we'll see how it works out. I made some last night. It was ground pork, which I honestly think I've never had ground pork that wasn't a sausage. And you make these like tacos, and it was pretty good. I added my own seasonings to it because I like spicy food, but it was pretty tasty. Made a coleslaw. I've never made a coleslaw in my life. I love coleslaw,
Okay, so
but I've never cooked
now
it.
that you see so they send you the raw ingredients and you put them together.
Right.
So now that you see it, you could probably do it yourself too.
Right. But I never know what the portions for two people are supposed
Yeah, it's
to
hard.
be.
It's hard for two. Yeah, it's hard.
Like a pound. It's truly, we only need a pound. So
you're supposed to make it and freeze it.
Gravy. So I've never had ground pork that was not attached to sausage gravy or sausage.
Right.
In my whole life, I've never had it.
For years it was, you don't eat, you had a caution against ground products because of diseases and stuff.
Oh,
so
really?
now it's, oh yeah. And I mean, my father wouldn't even let us eat pork that wasn't well done for like the first 30 years of my life because of trichinosis. These foodborne illnesses back in the day, I mean, you don't like all these government regulations, but you don't want to have pigs giving you listeria, and you don't want mad cow disease and stuff. So we do have to,
I only have my pork well done. I don't think I would ever not do it. I'm a nurse. I don't trust it.
Because of
nobody needs those kind of worms. I don't want worms.
Yep. That's right. I mean,
coleslaw was super simple. It was just red cabbage and then mayonnaise that they gave you. So I used my own. I used Duke's. And then, because I don't trust packaged mayonnaise, I'm just not going to do that. And then lemon.
See?
A pinch of sugar, and it was super simple. And
that's it.
My husband even liked it because it didn't have white cabbage. It was only purple.
So you can go into like a grocery store and buy a bag of red cabbage, and there you go.
I know.
Patty coleslaw featured at every picnic.
I love coleslaw, but I typically only eat other people's because I'm like, I was here. I had to grate an onion. I was like, oh my God, I have to grate an onion. But I hand grated it on a grater instead
of. That's so better. That's better because you get the juice and the tiny little pieces. You don't have to worry about big pieces.
Because I watched TikToks where people cook.
That was my mom's secret to her potato salad. She grated the onion, so nobody ever knew there was like onion.
My mother had 7 children, but she had no time for us in the kitchen. She was like, I am not going to. No, you want to be in here, you be quiet, and you sit over there.
You didn't even have to peel potatoes?
We had to peel potatoes like the sous chef side, but it wasn't how to cook.
Oh,
she wasn't like, she had no patience for that. She had to cook, get it done. 7 kids, she was done.
My father set myself up on his counter when he was making meatballs from the time I could remember, and he'd have a little glass of red wine, and he'd drink it, and then I'd drink it because I thought that's how you cooked. You did what I did, what he did, I miss you, Dad.
I know. Yeah. I got my mom's all of her recipe books. And I'm like, you even use the recipe exactly it is, and it doesn't taste the same.
Nope.
So the little woman either skipped something or changed something as it went down. Crazy land.
And the love.
Wendy called you to list the Truscott home. Oh, I wouldn't have listed it. I'm very clear about what I will tolerate with a client, what I won't tolerate with a client. I would not have listed the Truscott home.
What reason do you give for something like that?
If someone called me about not listing, I just say, I'm sorry, I can't take that listing right now. I mean, I'm not going to tell her why, because I think she's but Remember, at the time, we wouldn't have known because remember that was 15 when they sold the house. We wouldn't have known much.
Yeah, but right. So you could have been like, oh my gosh, she was so weird that day.
Well, everything was probably over the phone. So she used her previous realtor, and I have not sat down. I don't know her that well. We see each other, but I would love to have a chat with her and be like, are you still friends? Because I did ask. So Wendy Jill on Facebook has a mutual friend with a friend of mine that I just had coffee with. And I was like, I haven't seen you in a while, but can I ask you, you're still friends with her? Can I ask you why you're still friends? And he goes, oh, I don't even go on Facebook much. And it's just because from the synagogue. And I was like, oh, because I wanted to know what was she like? What would she do? But he just I didn't really know her. He said no one really knew her at the synagogue. I don't think she went to class there or did the social thing at the synagogue the way he did. So, no. But if I know what I know, I'm not going to take that case. We are very particular about what we list, only because we do stage most of our listings. We want it to look a certain way. We want the seller to be happy. I don't want to have to coax the seller into listening to me. You either listen to me and trust me or you don't. But it's so hard to get someone who really doesn't trust you to trust you. So if you don't see when we meet that you don't trust me, I'm good with that. I go next. My next thing is next. I can't sell a home for everybody. I physically couldn't do it. So
Well, you have a partner too. So
I want everyone to trust me 100%. But the reality is that they don't. I'm very outspoken. I have the radio show. Some people might be scared of that. Some people will be like, she hates our house. I don't know. I don't know. But my house is very humble. Scott's house is very beautiful. My house is a functional home that I happen to sleep in. And that's better. His is a showstopper. His home is beautiful. It really is. But it should be. That's his stick, is decorating homes, right? So... But if I got into it with another realtor in town who I think stole legally, I don't like it, was able to take the commission from all her other agents and keep it for herself. And I blocked her immediately once I heard. I was like, I don't even want to pretend to be friends with you.
It amazes me that people think that they can get away with that more than once.
She did it. She did it, and these people went under. It was 2 weeks before Christmas. These agents found out that they weren't getting their commission because she was keeping it. And she's leaving town. She's moving out of the area, but she'll just do it down there. It's just going to follow her.
How do you do that?
I just don't like to be around people I can't trust. It makes me very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I certainly don't want to be called to the stand because, this realtor for the Adelson's Truscott house, every time there's a case, she has a subpoena on her. Every time she has a subpoena. They haven't called her to the stand. I'm sure they've interviewed her, but I don't want that. I don't want to have to go to court every time you turn around because you didn't want your husband to have your children.
I was just thinking about something that Lori Page's mom said, or I know all about the trafficking down there in Tallahassee.
There is a lot. Well, we're right on I-10. So we are big drug running between California and Jacksonville. We're an hour from 75 again. If you were over in Madison County, which is, if you drive from Jacksonville over here, it's 3 counties in. Madison seat is Madison, and then it's Madison County. Those officers, if you have any kind of truck, you're getting pulled over. They catch so much trafficking and drug running in Madison, but it is, it's bad. It's really bad. Right at Monroe and I-10 is all those hotels. It's really bad. And that's why Travis said if she was truly trafficked, she's gone. They'll just get rid of her and take her someplace else. So, but as far as reporting the realtor to the board, what she did is not illegal. So if you're the broker, your agents are basically paid their share of the commission by the grace of the broker. because they're independent contractors. So there is no agreement really that will stop the broker from keeping that money. And the Florida, no real estate board in any of these states get into commission disputes because it could be anything. It could be ongoing forever and ever and ever. But, and I told the agents when they came to me and they were like, Patty, and I'm like, well, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a judge. I can't give you legal advice, but here's the statute that says the broker owns all the listings and the broker owns all the buyer contracts. So what happens with that commission, if you get paid at the table, good luck. I mean, that's a great broker, but a lot of people can and do keep that money, and there's nothing you can do about it. So there's no going to the board or the BBB or anything. You know, I called her out on my radio show, and she's not my friend because my friends don't do things like that.
Was she new in town, or?
No, she's from Chipley, and she came over here and she wanted to be a big name, and she hired all these agents. She had like 60 agents and only 2 closings. So you're not getting any trained. The agents aren't getting trained, and yet you have to house them and rent them and do whatever. So apparently what happened was she took out a big business loan against commissions from E-Commissions. It's the name of the company. And she started trying to do these flips and running Airbnbs out of rental properties. And then clearly she's not a good businesswoman. So there's these liens on this income. It's like $150,000. And then she took an advance from Weichert for like $75,000. And these are from the agents. That's how I know it. And Weichert's like, I'm going to sue you. And I'm going to take your license. Because Weichert's big. And these poor agents don't really have a leg to stand on in court. The only thing I thought, and I told them, is that she knew when she kept hiring these new agents that she would never be able to pay them. And that might be the challenge, but they would have to go to court and prove it, and court's expensive. But that's what she did.
Well,
And
you know, sometimes when you get enough people
to me,
from the same group, sometimes you'll get enough people from the same group getting the same treatment, and you'll find a sympathetic lawyer is going to be like, you know what, my sister was one of those people, like, let's just do this, and, you know, everybody, you know, gang up on her or something and make a suit. But, you know, sometimes you have to find an interested lawyer too, willing to take a case to.
I have another question. So I have Donna Adelson's phone numbers of the calls that she's been making out, many to Harvey, but a lot of them to people here locally. How many 850 numbers can she know? I mean, I've done reverse searches on many of the numbers. I have a little spreadsheet going. How could she know these people? They live in Quincy, like Gadsden County. Why would she be calling these people?
Do you think that there's people in jail saying, here's a number, call this number, you know, like other inmates?
Said that she could share her PIN, even though legally she's not supposed to do that. She can get in trouble for it. But that she could share her PIN.
But that gets them to their loved one, not to a stranger.
Right. But they're using her PIN, so those calls would be on Donna's spreadsheet, not on their spreadsheet.
Right. But you wouldn't be getting calls or anything.
I didn't get calls. I'm just asking because so when I do a reverse search, there's so many 850 numbers that she's getting calls on.
And it's only the county jail, so it's just got to be the local inmates there or something.
Yeah,
I mean,
are saying she's giving out her code. She must be. She has to be because you don't get like your phone book, right? You don't know these numbers by heart.
Right. And why would she care about anybody in Tallahassee anyway?
That's right. So I was like, why? And then someone said she's giving out her PIN. So that might be the case to try and throw people off.
Or, you know, she's doing it to get favor or for protection. It's money to her.
She knows we're researching every call. I am anyway. So that would be.
Well, do you think her local lawyers are watching the local YouTubers?
Oh, her local lawyers are watching the YouTubers.
There you go.
But she knows.
Donna's giving out her PIN. She can't pay you.
Well, the household just took in 1.27 million. They will have to pay a tax on it because it wasn't a homesteaded property. So they will have to pay capital gains on that 1.27. So they'll get a 30% tax on that, on the gain. So what is that? It's 200,000 because they paid 600 for it divided by, so it's 600 and 800, like something like that, 670. So they'll have to pay the 30% tax on the gain. So they'll have to pay 30% of 670 is like 190. So they'll pay that. So Daddy Boy will have and they're not reverse Google voice numbers. I've already checked on those numbers because I'm already working it. Rashi reads, doesn't watch. He says, I say bull Rashi. Yeah, he is watching. There's no way he's not, because he knew exactly what Erwin Jackson says. He knows what all these jurors came through. They did all of that, like reverse searches on everything and did all the social media scanning of it. So.
Oh, they were checking it. They were checking all the jurors' stuff while we were in voir dire. That's all those 5 attorneys Charlie had. Because the next day, remember, they called the girl out for putting a picture, taking a picture of herself in front of the courthouse and saying, doing my civic duty with a thumbs up. Georgia laughed. She thought it was cute. Who doesn't take a picture of themselves in front of the.
Did they get rid of the lady?
Well, she was a student. I think she was excused, but he brought it up and he says something like, we all know how these things can, in the interwebs and how it all, whatever. And Georgia looked at the picture and she just kind of like, this looks like something any teenager would do. Oh, it's my first time at the courthouse. Selfie.
She's doing her civic duty.
Reporting for civic, right. They didn't like it. The defense didn't like it. So, so they were watching the social media all night and they were writing everybody's name down and they were all checking it.
You know what? I would love to go, we have the names. So I would love to go back and find that name and call her and say, would you have found him guilty? Because that's that's a big risk.
I sent you that.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But to go back and call some of those people that were excused and say, would you have found him guilty? Because
there was one person that we thought she stayed through almost to the very end. She was a doctor. They kept calling her doctor. She was a woman, but she was in a lab kind of doctor. So she said she leads a team of scientists, so that she always had to analyze all the data. So we really thought they were going to want her on the jury. A doctor, analytical mind and all this. And at the end, they ended up excusing her. I was shocked. We even thought not only was she going to be picked, she was going to be the foreman. Katie Kool-Lady thought the same thing too. She got excused.
I would.
She was there for
it. If my goal was to confuse, because she's not going to be confused.
Right. Oh yeah, Georgia was loving her.
I've been picked. I get called all the time, and I get picked for one, and that was a DUI case. The last time I went, the questions were, we were all sitting there together, and we were in the box, and they were asking us, who here would give up their driver's license for $10,000? And without question, my arm went up. I'm like, I could use 10 grand. I can get my kids to drive me. And they were like, oh, your excuse. That was it. My kids were at home. I'm like, my kids can drive me.
Yeah, they could, but would they, Patty?
They would have at the time because I paid for the car.
That's always the thing. Yeah,
now
they could. But
they'd be like, I don't want to be with this woman that long in the car. But then they would have, because I paid for the car. Look, drive me on an appointment. They would have done it.
Yeah,
for
right.
Grand, absolutely, I would give up my license. Yeah.
But not now. You got that truck. You got that truck. You're not giving that truck up.
No, but I would hire. No, I don't even like people to drive my truck.
I thinking about the jurors again. Just going back to Charlie said in one of his phone calls that I had to use all my strikes on their picks. Because that means that instead of like, we don't like this guy because he's not agreeing with us, we don't like Georgia's guy because they're not what we want. Like each one gets their own strikes.
Right.
But he was like, I had to use all my strikes to strike all the ones that, Georgia wanted, or, like usually there's a couple of them, but not every single one.
There's a lot of strategy there. So yes, I did get names on the reverse search, but even when I reversed Harvey's phone number, it didn't come up as Harvey. So someone else had that number at some point. Like Harvey's number, it belonged to someone else. So you got to look, when you do a reverse search on a phone, you got to do it through several different sources. You can't just look at it in one source. And there's all this whole thing, we learn in school, because I'm in school for cybersecurity, was like just figuring out, the first thing I do is figure out who has the service. So who has the phone? Was it AT&T? Is it T-Mobile? And then when you do a reverse search and it shows a different one, that's not accurate. So it's time consuming. And she has spreadsheet after spreadsheet of phone calls. I get bored with it. I move on to some other research that I like to do. What's that? So you ready to go? I gotta go to bed.
Yeah, we just got back from Vero Beach in time to, yeah, cool.
What you get from Miami is syphilis? Jesus, Mary and Joseph. So what were you doing in Vero?
Checking out our new apartment, our new condo, doing a walkthrough.
So you rent or you buy?
We rent. We rent because every couple years we want to move. Like my husband's a chef. He's a wanderer. He's a rover, So he always wanted to go somewhere else. And now I can't imagine being stuck in one place because the neighborhoods in South Florida changed so fast. I originally lived in Hollywood, Plantation Acres, Plantation, Davie, Cooper City, Coral Springs, Boca Raton, Delray. Now I'm going to Vero. How much is
the rent difference between where you are and where you're going?
Half the amount, more space, no pet deposit, more amenities, and east of US 1, I've never been closer to the beach than I am going to be.
Why is it so inexpensive compared to that?
Well, there's nothing there.
In Vero?
The teenagers call it Zero Beach. We're going to 55 and over.
Oh, that's why.
Yeah. Well, still, we went to look at one place and they're like, sorry, you make too much. This is rent controlled. And it was so near the beach. And she said, you can only make like $1,800 a month between the two of you. And I'm looking at my husband saying, okay. So now every time we drive by it on the way to
rise, what kind of unit is it?
So it's I think there's 4 in the building, 2 on top and 1 each on the bottom. And I have like a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, a kitchen, and then a walkout patio. That's the whole length of the apartment. And then a little patio door to go outside. The people on top can't go outside their patio door, but I can. And then the ones on each side. So I don't know. They're old. They're from like the 80s. But they're really nicely done. And the decor, they had the furniture in there, Patty. And I was like, I feel like I'm back on like the 80s, peachy, Miami Vice, Art Deco, rounded furniture,
Really?
Mirrored tables and everything. And I'm like,
so how's the kitchen since your husband's a chef? How's the kitchen?
Oh, the kitchen's like, it's big. It's great. Yeah. And he wants to put a grill out back. So, he didn't work as chefs. He worked at Publix. We worked for Publix for many years. That's the last thing we did after chefs. We went to work for the Publix. So that's where I retired from, and he still works there because
So it is not near the Villages. The Villages is in 3 counties now. It's massive.
But it's in the middle of the state.
We were going to Universal for Christmas, and 75 around any day is horrid. But around Christmas, they're just all going to Orlando. It's just, they all come from the Midwest. It's just so much traffic. So I ride through the Villages. and it's all roundabouts, so there's no red lights. And I take right down the center road through the villages, and I just kept going. And
It's
no, it's not near it. It's not near.
I'm on the coast of the beach. I'm on the East Coast beach, and the villages are in like middle central Florida, like up in they're not near the beach, and they're not near Orlando, and it's between Tallahassee and Orlando, I'd say, right?
So,
The villages.
There's 3 counties. There's Lake County. There's where Ocala is, which is Marion County, and I forget the other county. But the villages. So, have you ever watched? I'm not going to remember it now. James Spader. What's that show with James Spader that I loved and I can't remember, and it ended just recently? The Black.
I heard the villages is the STD capital of the world.
It is, but do you remember James Spader in The Blacklist? Did you ever watch it? It was a great
I
show.
like James Spader, but I didn't see that.
So the girl he cared so much about that could have been his daughter, we're never sure.
I gotta get my
Her
plug.
grandfather started the villages as a mobile home park.
Get my cord. Keep going.
So her grandfather started it. Her mother is the head of sales there.
I'm sorry. Okay.
The villages. Her name's Megan Boone, and he came down from Michigan, and he had a very small mobile home park, and he just started buying up land. And you can see where the original mobile homes are. But I like their method because they don't negotiate. So if you go buy new construction in the villages, you pay whatever Sarah Boone's mother says you pay. Yeah,
Gotta go to the bathroom.
That's it. It's crazy
I
land.
the cord is in the car. Damn it.
So the villages is interesting because you can have a golf cart, which some are very, very nice down there, and literally go 3 counties in your golf cart and never touch a road. It's crazy.
Oh.
She says, thank you all for a fantastic conversation. Oh, thank you.
It's landlocked, the villages.
It is landlocked. I mean, they obviously have fake retention ponds and that kind of thing. Ocala is a beautiful county because that's our horse area.
Horse country, yep.
West in Broward and in Palm Beach County, but that's where John Travolta lives. They have that big airplane community with his 747. Like, it's a beautiful area. You gotta get
a friend who lives
road in 75 and drive down. It literally, the road is parallel to 75, and I probably saved an hour and a half of my life.
You were probably the youngest girl in town.
Well, if I had the money to live in a town we don't really have one here. We have one condo community. My sister-in-law lives in that's 55 and over, but I would have lived in 55 and over years ago. Once my kids were grown, I would have done.
I just barely qualified.
At the time. Yeah, I do. I mean, it's 55 and over. I get like discounts on dinners sometimes. Now, Christopher does. My husband's on Medicare. It's the best thing that ever happened to us. I mean, cheap wise, it saves me hundreds a month.
Yeah, well, we all know the whole insurance and medical thing is that whole thing needs to revamp too. That's a hot mess express. So.
Oh, Shamrock said she's in Ocala, just side of the villages. I know, it's beautiful.
Yeah. Well, I have a girlfriend.
I gotta walk my dog. My husband, who's 60, how old will he be? Hold on. I'll be 50. So he'll be 66 this year. So I tell him he's 4 from 70. He really enjoys that. I have to go walk the dog because he goes to bed at 8.
Your husband?
He goes to bed at 8 every night.
Her husband is adorable. I'm so glad I met you, Patty, and that I introduced myself, and I'm so glad that I got to meet your husband.
Together. That was a nice time.
Yeah, your husband, he's crazy about you.
Lasagna. He liked it a lot.
Yeah. Well, if I come up when it's like, I really wanted to see jury selection, but like, I don't know. We got to do something about those hotel rates. Like, you got to get some, maybe Patty's got to do some B&Bs or whatever they're
Well,
called.
what about, I mean, I really do think we need to wait anyway, because I think Rosh Hashanah is going to put a kibosh on that, the first week.
Okay.
So if I were you, I would book, like, I would look at the second week.
All right. Cause I mean, it's far for me. So I'd have to, when I come, I'd have to stay, you know, cause it's far.
All right. Well,
Yeah, I
we'll
love
work it
everything.
out.
Yeah.
And your daughter has a job now, so she can't take
Yeah. Yeah. But that's okay. She needed to, because she needed to.
She needed to.
Yeah.
But we'll
Well,
talk
she was-
and we'll work it out. I'll think of something. Okay.
Okay. Sure. Tell Chris I said hi.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Thank you so much for letting me in your room and in Patty's fandom. And tell Chris I said hi, and give
I will.
Roscoe belly rub.
Bye.
Okay.
Carol.
Bye, Patty.